you're taking the time to experience the vibes. You're taking time to experience the feels. The feels. You can't fight in a Cuddy, okay? You wish you could. When you first saw the initial Cuddy commercials from like way back 2015, and it was like all elegant and stiletto and the engines moved independently and you were like, woo! You know, cool ass commercial. I don't know if you guys, hold on. Let me see if I can find the first Cutlass commercial. Cutlass Black first commercial. Remember that commercial? And they did like a tango. Yeah, here it is. Hold on a second. Let me show you guys all this shit here. Yeah, first Cuddy commercial here. Remember this one? Look at the HUDs and everything. You know what I mean? And watch how they, you know, they made it look all good. And this was like one of my very first purchases. You know, I was like, I'm going with the Cutlass Black, man. It's all fucking dancing. It's doing the tango. Watch this. Watch this. Doing the tango, man. Doing the tango. Watch this. Now you see already it's setting me up. I like the style of it. It has that old school kind of freelancer, privateer vibe on there. You know what I'm saying? I like the looks. The slimline slender Cuddy. Sexy curves. Sexy. Did everything. It was the everything ship. They bulked it up later, and at first I was like, after they did the redesign on the Cuddy, I was like, as long as it's better. And initially it was. And then they nerfed, and there was a whole bunch of issues, and don't even get me started. So I actually dusted off the Cuddy Black. Let's watch the rest of this. But like you see the elegance, you see the style, right? I was like, this is an everything ship. I can hold cargo. I can blow up alien ships. I can blow up any ships. I can be a pirate. I can store shit. I can steal shit, put it in there. Like, give me your shit. I'm a pirate. Or I can just like be space dad in it. I could be like, you know, this is the vibe. This is what they was selling me on this, right? Stop it, son. Elegant. It was look at that Vandal pissed off. Look at that. See, I wanted to do that shit. See, that's what got me. That was the selling point right there. That was the shit. I'm like, man, if I twist and turn these motherfucking thrusters, I'm going to do some crazy ass uncoupled movements. If I can master piloting this ship, which I can, anybody that's watched me on the PvP front, especially if you're watching Bringing the Dangerous back in the day and Elite Dangerous, I was pulling off some crazy ass moves, and I still got them. So I was like, oh, with the Drake, I'm going to be able to pull off some crazy ass moves, man. I'm going to go tango on these motherfuckers. I'm going to uncouple this shit. I'm going to make my back, I'm going to do some crazy dance. I'm going to do some crazy space ballet dance moves. Look at that. Look at that. Selling point number two. Selling point number two. If I'm twisting and turning these engines in an uncoupled rotation, I can do some crazy physics moves that nobody ever saw before. I'm like, holy shit, all the different combinations that I can work out on this thing. This is Last Starfighter shit. See, this is why I bought it in the first place, right? Now, you can rotate the engines into a VTOL mode. It doesn't make a lot of sense right now. Doesn't. Flight model completely borked. We're going to spend a whole hour tonight talking about the flight model. Tonight, we got a special night. Tonight, we're going to be talking about the second most important thing to me, which is the flight model. And I just saw a video drop on Star Citizen's main channel. It's a Star Citizen Live, and I'm going to go deep. We are diving deep. We're going to dive into the team. I'm going to tell you what's wrong with it. I'm going to tell you what they need to do to make it a better flight experience. And this is the whole reason I'm showing you guys all this, is trying to get you back. I'm trying to get you back to the point at which you remembered that you were like, wow, I cannot wait to fly. Like hardcore flying. Like when you really get to know your ship down to the nitty gritty, every nut and bolt, and you know how to fly the ship like this. Perfect. Sold. Take my money. Now, I can still do this. I can do the VTOL right now. VTOL, not so good as it was back in the day. And those of the veterans know about the VTOL when they took the true VTOL flight away. Remember that shit when you had to balance that shit out and you actually had to DCS the motherfucking shit? And it was actually kind of cool because there was a hard learning curve to that. You guys remember that are the veterans, that old school VTOL mode? Yeah. That shit was the shit. And if you knew it, you were a professional. Other people just bitched. Oh, I'm crashing. Oh, I'm doing this. Oh, because they didn't understand the VTOL. They didn't get VTOL flight. They didn't understand it. So they made it easy mode, didn't they? They cut that out. That was the one very first thing they did. And boy, that really got me. That really got me when that happened. And I bitched about that, didn't I? Those people remember that were here long ago. Boy, did I bitch. I still remember. Now they give me the VTOL, I push K, the engines do this, right? Because you know why? Because I dusted the old Cuddy Black. I haven't flown her in ages, and I dusted her off. And why did I dust her off? Not for some cool, fancy PvP flying or PvE flying or for anything, because the Cuddy can't do shit. The Cuddy is sloppy. When it comes to PvE and PvP, if you're flying that, you're a joke. Let's be real. Like if you're coming at me in a Cuddy Black, I'm like, and I'm a Drake man. That's hard for me to do, to laugh at a Drake ship. Stunner probably loves the fact that I'm laughing at it. Right. Stunner has some serious Drake hate. You have some DDS, some Drake derangement syndrome. And it was beautiful. It was more elegant. It was slimline. It had a better flight movement. Overall movement was quicker. The original Cutlass Black, it had faster yaw. It had faster pitch, faster rotation. Spin was great. Flying it uncoupled, it was pretty cool. It wasn't as cool as that, but it seemed a little bit more agile, a little bit more mobile. Then they beefed it up into a serious alpha wolf. But there was no alpha to it, because when you flew it out there, it didn't do shit. You get whacked off. The front wing would come off, and then your shit would be gone, and then you lose a weapon. And it's like, man, why you gotta gimp the Cuddy Black like that? Remember, back in the day, that didn't happen too often. Now it's like all the time. Somebody hits you with 2 shots, the goddamn front wing comes off, you fly around like a little gimp, and you can't shoot anybody because you lost yourself a fucking cannon or something. Now, we're going to talk about the flight experience tonight. Tonight, I'm going to tell you something. Some of you are going to get mad at me. Tonight, I'm going to probably go beast mode a little bit. So before we start tonight, I wanted to preface this because I thought it relevant. I was like, hey, let's take us back old school. Let's check out the elegance that used to be the Cuddy. You guys remember the original MISC Freelancer? Holy shit, that was awesome. They changed that into a giant space dildo. Don't get me started. You guys remember the 300 series that I used to love? The jacked up muscle car 300 series that they totally ruined and turned into a goddamn banana? Probably where this came from.
Banana fountain.
Probably where that soundbite came from. Because I started spouting out crazy ideas ever since that 300 got ruined, because it looked like a goddamn banana when they changed it. Now, there's going to be some of you here that aren't going to be able to handle tonight, because there's going to be a little salt that's going to flow here, because we're talking about the flight model. No, it doesn't, Coob. Coob, I love you to death, but the new Freelancer looks like a fucking woman's pleasuring tool. Or man's, if you're into that. But, you know, this is disgusting to me. But, you know, hey, to each their own. Listen, it looks like a sex toy. Let's be real. The old Freelancer did not. The old Freelancer looked like something out of Star Wars. The new Freelancer, poopsicle. Absolute poopsicle. Well, it's not new, but if you're as old as me, Diva, you're calling it new, okay? And then I'll yell at kids getting off my lawn, all right? Now, let's get, oh, God, Orange Julius, I love you so much. Oh, Orange Julius. Oh, and I couldn't find an Orange Julius, by the way. All day looking around for Orange Julius. I was trying to show Devin what an Orange Julius is. Craziness. Got to stay on my vibe tonight. I'm going to go in many different speeds. Some people say, well, and this guy talks, doesn't make any sense. I'm sorry, but when you listen to me, you don't make any sense if you're leaving. You make absolutely no sense. In fact, I'm telling you what, for the people who can't keep up with me, goodbye. You're slow. You're all slow. Those that leave, you can't keep up. Let's go. All right. Oh, boy. We're going to get into vehicle flight and balance tonight. And I'm going to really probably rant and rave and go beast mode. I warned my audience here who's live. Hi, welcome to DG360. If you're taking the time to watch this on YouTube, you're going to want to click the like. You're going to want to share this out here because I'm going to spread some OG intelligence on this. All right. I talked about VTOL and the loss of true VTOL flight many moons ago. The introduction of master modes and how it really cut into a lot of people who are hardcore simulator fans and gamers, and they left. One of the members of our community backspaced. Super into the flight model that was there, wanted to see it progress in its current format, and master modes blew it to shit. Am I happy about master modes? No. However, I come at this from the macro and I can take a step back and I realize that they're probably going to end up changing it again after the fact. And after the fact of Squadron 42 releasing. I think with Squadron 42, they had to go easy mode. They took elements from Squadron 42. They pulled it over to the persistent universe. And that's just the flight model we got for now. They're dealing with a lot of issues. They're dealing with NPC interactions. They're dealing with AI tech, right? We all know, we've seen what the NPC do. We see what the AI is doing. A lot of it's also directly correlated to server tech as well. A lot of it's latency and lag. When we see it in a solo player mode in Squadron 42, hope bees to the gods out there that they react much better. We've seen certain simulations that they've put up where they're not connected to the net, and we do see better interaction with NPCs. We do see better AI interaction with gamers. So that's positive. Now, flight model. Here we got the team. All right, I gotta say, for me, seeing Richard like that, Richard Towler, sorry, I believe is how you pronounce his last name, wearing the very tight Vans shirt, about 2 sizes too small if you ask me, but that's okay. Game devs are eccentric people. But Richard, I think we need to go up a size on the shirt. First off, you're designing the flight for us. Let's design you a little bit better and put on like another side. Like if you're going in the XL, maybe go to the XXL. Okay, Richard? Just a suggestion. Just saying. I'm a big guy myself. I'm XXL myself. It's because I got big guns and shoulders. But however, we also have Yogi Klatt. Yogi Klatt is this guy on the left with the man bun. Okay, Yogi Klatt is the principal vehicle programmer, I believe, is his current title. This guy makes a lot of decisions for flight. Currently, he is a real life, I believe, pilot of hang gliders, which would explain the reason why all these ships feel so light. Sorry, wrong button. I meant this one. Sorry. So let us now listen to these gentlemen talk about what's happening with flight. And let me remind people with Yogi, guy on the left, that we had a post here that I found very interesting. By the way, there you go. There's information. I'll put this all in the YouTube link so you guys can all follow along and get to understand the team. And by the way, super respect for the teams. I am being silly, of course. Somewhat, there's a little seriousness in there. More so against Yogi and the current flight model and him being a glider pilot than Richard in his shirt. Sorry, Richard. You guys, as far as I'm concerned, the guys that work at Cloud Imperium are cool dudes. They're all trying to make the experience great. There just needs to be more unity. There needs to be more transparency, and we need to see some type of progress towards the flight model that we can all be like, wow, this is really cool. Right now, the ships are they're so very light. They don't feel like there's any bulk around you. They don't. To me, there's something missing. There's something missing in this recipe. There is something missing in this recipe, and more so than anything in terms of atmospheric flight. Now, I get to this, and then we'll start the video. I know this is a long prologue here. I just want to get everybody hip on what we're talking about tonight because it's a big issue for me. The flight model is a huge issue to me. It ranks number 2 in importance. Number 1, server tech. Number 2, flight model. These two things, super important on the top of the pyramid, on the things that are the problems and need to be worked on for Star Citizen. Now, on Star Citizen Dev Tracker, it was interesting here, and this is a while back, but there's a woman named Lady Anna, and she says, during the Taking Flight panel at CitizenCon 2953, the team showed, now this is a while back, the team showed off a genuinely cool atmospheric flight model with stalling and AFCS. Now, for those of you that aren't aware of this, they showed this at CitizenCon over a year ago. Sadly, none of that work has made it into the game so far, which leads me to wonder, is this something that is still being planned or is this something that has been scrapped? If it is still being planned, can we get an update on its status? Now, for those that need a refresher, here is Yogi explaining basically flight as he's envisioning it and a model here to show us what the changes are going to be with atmospheric flight, inertia, momentum. Correct, Betty. These are all the things that we need to start feeling. I've noticed a couple of animations with the ships and noises and certain like vibes that they're trying to portray the atmosphere of whether it be the planet or the moon, and it's better, but they need to pump it up. We need to feel it when we're flying. Here we go. Here's Yogi explaining full aerodynamic flight model.
Okay, so the thrusters on your ship, they do not like the vacuum of space. We're talking spaceships here, right? And we have thruster efficiency curves on these thrusters. So at some point, especially the MEF thrusters, they will cease working because they don't like atmosphere. They will overheat very, very quickly. So there's the question: what happens when you go down to a planet?
Correct, Limitless.
And you want to rotate your ship with your thrusters off? Well, we'll see. Can you go to external view? Can you waggle your tail? Okay, back first person. Okay, so what you see here is the new aerodynamics model. Because obviously our left stick is somewhat damaged or so, we can't be as fast as we want. Actually, Brent, can you try W and S on the keyboard instead? Oh, it doesn't work. Oh.
Okay, so that initially is a fail from the get-go because we need speed.
No, doesn't. Yep. Okay. No, the stick is affecting us. Okay. Anyways, we're gonna go down as fast as possible. So the new aerodynamic system is a complete replacement of the aerodynamics.
You understand? This is what gets people truly upset. The kind of approach that we're seeing here on something that we really don't even have yet. Okay, this is in 2023. They're talking about this, by the way. They're showing a tech demo of basically aerodynamic flight, their model, what they've been working on. And this is from a while ago. This team was created a while ago. This was shown to us in 2023, and they can't get the flight stick throttle to give us the speed that we need to see a full, accurate representation in this tech demo. So, this is why people get upset.
System that you currently have, and you need your control surfaces to actually turn the ship around.
Here we go. Looks like we
simulates the
got
airflow over your lift surfaces.
He's hitting
and
the
therefore, the slower you become, the less effective those control surfaces will be in order to turn your ship. So we can demonstrate this. So if Brent just sits here and yaws left and right, you will see he cannot go further than that. That is in line with what real airplanes also experience when they're trying to use the rudder to yaw left and right. So what Brent can do here is he can roll and he can pull to actually change.
You see the shutter. You see what's going on here. I'm noticing some animations on some ships doing this. Not with the intensity that I'm seeing here. However, from time to time, you hear the shutter, you hear the sound effects that come with it currently. It's not nearly as intense as it should be. They are watering down the experience. They need to make sure that, I frankly feel like Master Mode's dumbed everything down in terms of the flight. It should not be like super easy. You should not just like magically glide. Like, oh, hey, I'm just like, like I'm just here. I'm right here, like maybe a button that makes you like hover or something, or maybe I'm not quite sure. But the flight model has always felt a little like there's not a lot of urgency sometimes when you're flying around. There's not a lot of urgency. There needs to be more intense feels, especially with atmospheric flight.
Misdirection. Okay, so just for this demo, we added a button. The button is called thruster disconnect, because at the moment in the PU, when you go through a planet, you're using the thrusters to rotate. We're not doing that anymore. So Brent, disconnect the thrusters, please, and put the ship into a purposeful stall. A stall happens when the airflow over a wing ceases, or over a lift surface ceases. And then at some point, you will not have any authority anymore, and your ship will not turn and so on, and you will basically fall out of the sky. That is naturally a state that every plane...
Yeah, you want to feel the gravity. You want to feel the immersion. When the thrust isn't accurately pushing the craft forward enough, you want to feel the gravity pull you down. Now, of course, the counter-argument is on some moons and planets, there's barely any gravity. Got it. Great. Wonderful. On planets that have gravity, that is the Earth's gravity, or more so, you want to feel it pull you, right? So we're seeing this. We're actually seeing it stall. We're seeing it kind of like drop down, right? It's great.
Wants to avoid naturally, right? And this is happening right here. Brent?
Also, moving from this point to the current point that we're at, we got to question the direction of the team. The team with Master Modes took a serious step back from simulator, which a lot of people were hardcore wanting the simulator, to a more kind of like easy mode for everybody being able to fly. For everybody being able to fly, because they need to make sure they're making the revenue and bringing as many people as they can bring in, and the revenue's got to keep coming in. So it does scare me a little bit because, of course, I'm more of a simulator flyer, and like it's more niche, okay? However, I think for the people, and this is a point, and you tell me what you all think here. And this has always been my point of view. I feel like realer physics makes it great for people who are really into piloting their ships. And generally speaking, those people that really want that realism and that simulation experience are those people that are looking for combat. Those people that are so into their aircraft, their spacecraft, that they know every nuance of it. And they're generally going to be combative, whether PvE or PvP, and they want that simulation. Whereas people that aren't so much into it are into industrial ships and just want to space stat it, which is fine. They want a PvE, they want a cargo fly. Here's my suggestion, and you tell me if this is a revolutionary idea or not. And this has always been my stance. Why not keep the simulative experiences for combat ships larger military ships, cap ships, light fighters, medium fighters, heavy fighters, interceptors, ships that are focused on combat. Let's have a simulative experience. Freighters, for all the caterpillars out there, the hull ships, hull class type ships, all those ships that are kind of more geared for industrialized work, prospectors, moles, argos, give them a master modes. Does that not make sense? Am I just like fucking crazy or something? Like I'm
in a fountain.
It seems so simple. It really seems so simple to me that they can do this. This is something that they can do with any of these ships. They can make the easier master modes for the industrialized ships, and they can make it more simulative for the combat militaristic styled ships. For people to cater to each group, seems to me like that can be something that they could do. Maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe on the game dev side of things, they can't do that. Maybe it's universally got to be A or universally got to be B. But it just seems to me that by simply choosing B over A or A over B, that you're actually cutting off your nose to spite your face. That's how it's always seemed to me.
Is not able to use the control surfaces right now because the ship is in a process of stalling. However, the airflow will pull the nose back into the wind, and once you have enough speed, he can actually, he gets authority back over those control surfaces.
Which is awesome. Okay, so anyway, this experience here is actually a more simulative experience that we were seeing in CitizenCon, I think a year or two ago, almost 2 years ago. And also, again, this is Yogi Klatt, who is the lead dev, talking about it. Now, here's a response from Yogi, and he goes on to say, and this is, again, we were reading this earlier from Star Citizen Dev Tracker, where Anna asked this question, talking about this actual experience that I pulled up, that I found, this little nugget here, this wonderful presentation where they didn't have the right, throttle, and the throttle was defective, again, just like, come on. And here's Yogi, and he says, at Lady Anna, what we've shown at CitizenCon 2953 in the year of 2023, so 2 years ago, was the so-called control surface model. This is not an isolated feature, but part of a much larger update to the flight model, which is currently ongoing. Okay. Whew. This is a while ago. Let's keep that in mind. This was over 2 years ago. What 2024 wasn't really a focus year for the flight model. Well, no shit. We all know that, except that they changed it completely to master modes, which is, there's something telling in that, right? The year in which master modes really hit, he's saying 2024 wasn't really a focus year for the flight model, which is a really interesting statement considering that they changed to master modes, which is a simplified version of flying. And again, why I think that the flight model will change. By the way, for the people that are upset about the change with master modes, which is one huge controversy and so much content about master modes and a lot of disgruntled people, me included. One thing I got to keep in mind during this project, and for those of you watching, and for those of you who are avid Star Citizen players, those of you who have been around as long as I have, we know that the flight model has changed 6 times. 6. All right? Some for the better, some for the worse. Right now, not so great a stage, but it's changed. This is something, even though now doesn't feel like they're focusing on, has always actively been changed. Right now, we're in a dead zone, right? So anyway, Yogi says 2024 wasn't really a focus year for the flight model, but we started getting back to it directly after Christmas break. This is in 2024, by the way. This is just recently. This is 5-6 months ago. Progress on the flight model in the last 2 months has been really good. I'm really excited about it, but it is just not ready for the public or even public testing. Which that That makes me nervous because, like, why the fuck not? Why not put it to the PTU and just get people's hands on this? Because it makes me nervous. It makes me nervous that he's saying something this. I'm really excited about it, but it is just not ready for the public or even public testing. I mean, dudes, come on. Right, Erad. Right, dude. I mean, come on. Like, I just gave a whole history of the flight model for the past 2.5 years. I set the whole thing up for you guys. I let you guys know who were the people responsible for the flight model, the master mode's flight changes, where we've come from. I've given a solution that might not work, but if it could, it would be cool. Again, give the simulative experience for all military type combative ships. Give a master mode's experience for all industrial type ships. I think it can be done. Personally, I think it can be done. It might not be. They might have to go universally with the A flight model or universally with the B flight model. But how cool would it be if they could make master modes just for industrialized ships, because people don't really give a fuck about a simulative flight experience for the industrialized PvE, fetch quest kind of trader vibe. And trust me, I've been doing a lot of industrial space dad shit lately, so don't get on me, right? And, frankly, yeah, if I'm in a vulture, right? If I'm salvaging, I want it kind of like easy mode. I want to focus on the industrial work. I want to focus on painting the ship. I get it. Totally understand. But for the people that really want that simulative experience, to spend tons and tons of time trying to fit their ships, that really want to get into the nuance of flying and PvP, and even actively like really good flying with PvE on missions and making that serious creds per hour, I understand that people want a more simulative experience. They don't want the master modes experience. They want a more difficult, more realistic, more actual simulative DCS experience. And that's why I say, if at all possible, anybody out there, Cloud Imperium, watching this, I think your answer is, again, focusing on military ships, combative ships, giving them the simulative experience, giving industrialized ships with industrial focus. And by the way, with those military ships, I'm also talking corvettes and capital ships. I'm talking about larger ships as well. Not just the small guys, not light, medium, and heavies, not just interceptors, but I'm actually talking about like the larger cap ships as well. Because if you're spending that kind of money and you're putting that kind of crew together and it's an organization experience, then yeah, shit should be more simulative, because they would all be relatively balanced in that group. Okay? On the industrial side of things, make it more master modes, the whole series ships, any type of thing that is a trading type of ship, give it a master mode, simple, very simple flight experience. That's what I would say is the way to go. But this line here really makes me worried. I gotta say, this line, it really gets at me. I am really excited about it, because all this work behind the scenes, I'm really excited about it, but it is just not ready for the public or even public testing. That really gets me. You can't give it to the PTU. You can't like have people actually like taste it a little bit, give it a little appetizer for people that really want that simulative experience. You know how many people that left because of the master modes changes? A lot. Because they expect more. They expect more from Cloud Imperium. Because of where we came from. Because the veterans wanted a simulative experience. And it's kind of like a slap into the face to a lot of veterans that really wanted to have those, realistic experiences. It really is. It really is. And, shout out to my friend Backspaced. He's somebody who's always super vocal in the chat. And completely, I haven't seen him. I haven't seen him in months here in this community. And, it's a shame. It's a shame that like something like Master Modes and Star Citizen was the reason he had to leave here. And, frankly, he probably was just so chagrined and so upset about it. Because when I come in here on these streams, I try to be super positive. I try to like really get people in the mode. Like, I want to have fun. I want to play the game. But at the same time, Backspace, wasn't he like the most vocal? Like, tell me in the chat, wasn't he? Like, for real. He really was. I gotta say, like, Backspace was always talking about how them putting master modes ruined the game. Yeah, Retro remembers. Master modes, Second we start talking about Star Citizen, it was just like, boom, master modes, you mofos, you MFers, the whole thing. Like he left. Yeah, and frankly, I was with him too, you know? But again, like I take a deep breath, I step back, I realize where we came from. I understand that they'll change the flight model eventually, but I gotta say, this team's making me nervous. Yogi and Richard and others on the team, they're making me nervous. And like I said, this is the second most important issue for me. First, the tech, the server tech. Number one, always going to be the most important issue because it's the make or break for the game. It will be an amazing MMO sandbox experience if the server tech works the way people are designing it to be. It will be amazing. If not, they're not going to have a success. Number two, the flight model. Why? Because it's a space game, man. These are the two most important things. And for any other person that says those two are the most important things, they don't know what they're talking about. It's the bread and butter. It's the bread and butter behind making this a success or not. It's either these two things are going to work and it's going to be a success, or these two things aren't going to work, or one of the two things are going to hit. It's still not going to be a success. These two things have to be perfect in order for this to be a success. And the MMO side of things, I'm talking about Star Citizen. Now, let's watch, and I'm going to be silent a lot until I can't.
Jeez. You know, you got to show the person who doesn't know Star Trek. Oh. You're not showing the person who doesn't know Star Trek. Yogi knows Star Trek. You know, go to Yogi. Spock is literally the only character you can mention.
Can we talk about Star Wars, maybe? More educated.
Okay, fine. Name 5 Star Wars characters.
Anakin, Obi-Wan, Mace Windu, Yoda, Darth Vader.
Okay, now...
Oh, he's a prequel Star Wars.
Okay, now something outside of the prequels.
Outside of the prequels,
Come on, 3 of them.
Luke, Han Solo, Layla.
Layla?
How's the princess name in English?
Leia.
But Layla, dude, you got me on my knees, Layla. I'm begging, darling, please, Layla. Ease my troubled mind. What are you doing to me? The shame bell needs to be rung here from the highest tower. For real. Oh my God. Layla.
Shame. Shame. Shame.
I do not want this kid anywhere around Star Citizen. What is he doing designing this game? This is terrible. Layla, it's the English barrier. But like Erad's got an English barrier. He's got an accent, but he says Leia, for God's sake. So I don't know if there's an excuse for this kid. We should just ask Erad. Should we give an excuse for this kid?
Okay, that's fine. Princess Leia works.
Thank you, Drew. Thank you.
Guard's face here is...
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Star Citizen Live. The Passion of Matteo Monticelli. I'm your host, Jared Huckabee, and if you've never seen Star Citizen Live before, what a lucky person you are.
For real, for real.
That's where we take roughly about an hour, sometimes a little bit less, out of an occasional week these days, to sit down with our developers and chat things related to Star Citizen, or Star Trek, or Star Wars. What other stars are you not familiar with? Starman? You ever seen Starman?
No.
I
know something about Star Citizen.
Jeff Bridges, man. Come on.
No, that can help.
Well, hopefully. We're going to find out. So joining us on the show this week are esteemed members of our, the team members who work on all things spaceships and what
Bradley?
they do. These aren't the folks who build the spaceships. Those are members of our fantastic vehicle teams who build the physical spaceships. These are the folks who take those spaceships and craft them and hone them and adjust them so that they perform the way that we want them across both of our games, Star Citizen and Squadron 42. So with that, let's introduce some folks, because every show is somebody's first show, including one of our guests. So Yogi, we're going to start with you. You're our old hand here. Tell everybody who you are and what you do for Star Citizen.
I'm an old hand. Okay, I'm Yogi. I'm a principal vehicle programmer.
He doesn't even know his title. He doesn't even know his title. Like, he had to think about his title, you understand?
And roughly together with Rich, I'm leading the development of the flight model and the flight experience.
Okay, and for those people who may be hearing that term for the first time, what's a flight model?
Flight model is basically the thing that makes the ship fly the way it flies.
It's what makes the game a success or not. That's really why we're here. That's why we're going to watch all this. It is the make or break of a space game, the flight model, in this space game.
So
not all space
how smooth it is, how janky, how sometimes so broken, but yeah, stuff like that.
Okay, Rich.
Yeah, so I'm basically Richard, and I'm the lead game designer on the vehicle experience team. So I'm kind of responsible with Yogi for the overall flight experience, turrets, just the way the general gameplay works with vehicles.
Not kind of. You are responsible.
Notice you hid your last name so people can't send you letters.
Yes.
Okay. This is Rich Tyrer.
Right, I'm going to start making loads of decisions now.
Okay. And last but certainly not least, first timer for SCL, Mattea.
Hey yo, I'm Mattia. I'm a game designer 3, working with Richard on everything flight, spaceship balance related, mostly for Star Citizen these days. And yeah, that's what we do.
It has no science fiction academia, if you will. None. He called Princess Leia Princess Layla. So far, we got 0 for 3 right here. I mean, come on. We got your 3 strikes, you're out. What's going on here?
All right. So as we want to do on Star Citizen Live, we put a thread up on Spectrum where this one. So I'm talking to the people. We put a thread up on Spectrum and collected questions from you, the Star Citizen community. Our lovely folks here, went through your questions and pulled a collection of them that they felt they could answer best during the course of today's show.
Here we go.
So if you've submitted your question, you're like, well, why aren't they talking about this and why aren't they talking about that? Usually, what that means is either we don't have the particular guest that's on to talk about that, because we certainly wouldn't want Yogi talking about stuff he's not involved in, or Mattea or Rich, or that's a feature aspect that is not currently in development. The other big kind of misperception in games is that you work on all the things all at the same time. We don't. So the questions that we're going to talk about today are primarily the things that are currently in active development and that relate to the work of these 3 individuals.
All right, let's go.
So right off the bat, we'll just jump right in. Yo, Jared, looking healthy as... Oh, thank you, Boomish.
True.
Thought it was my mom at first. What is the intended purpose for heavy fighters? Right now, they have a turn rate very similar to ships like the Connie and Corsair, but they lack the shields and firepower of those. What's up?
So, this is a question for me, yes. We have been playing with heavy fighter tuning since 3.23, basically the master mode release, and our idea about the heavy fighter role hasn't changed much throughout the time. So basically, what we think an heavy fighter is basically heavier fighter that has lower maneuverability compared to light fighters, but increased durability and increased firepower. That's as simple.
Yeah, except they get chewed up by like light fighters. Except they like there's durability, my ass.
That's that, right? Currently, we have retuned the entire heavy fighter class that includes ships like the F8, the New Guardian, the other Guardians, and so on and so forth, to fit a better spot. And in our opinion, the spot that now the heavy fighters actually cover, it's quite fine. We do notice that the heavy fighter class is slightly underperforming right now, though, but we think it's related more to
it's way underperform. It's way underperformative.
The relationship in between cross classes rather than the heavy fighters tuning per se. So stuff, for example, like how the heavy fighter is dealing against like a medium fighter, for example, or a shipper of a bigger size, like for example a Constellation or stuff like it. So we would like to dive more into the.
We don't need it to be that real. Damon says the flight model is never going to be realistic in any sense. To even dream of it is insanity. It takes hundreds of hours to be able to completely fly a real plane. We don't need it to be like Microsoft Flight Simulator. We don't even need it to be like to the levels of DCS. We just need an accurate, actual flight model when it comes to the feel of flight. When I'm talking about the flight model, what I'm talking about, Damon, it's not all the little buttons. It's nothing in your HUD. What it ends up being is actually how does it feel? How does the flight feel? How does the ship feel around you? Is it realistic? Is it doing what it's supposed to do? Is it doing what it's supposed to do in its role? Like take the heavier fighter, for instance. It's completely getting chewed up by smaller fighters. Which, I understand the slower turn rates. I understand that, right? But it has no durability. There's not the durability that needs to be there. Period. And as far as the flight experience, going back to our master modes talk that we had about like 25 minutes ago, it's not where it needs to be.
Tuning for other classes first before assessing the the overall heavy fighter tuning, and if that need to be addressed once again. So currently, this is the state of...
And Erad's right. If you're taking them out, if you're taking the heavy fighters out, you use them in a PvE stance, they hold up. But in a PvP stance, and I know everybody's like, oh, PvP, so many people against PvP, but when you get into large organization fights, and we are in a sandbox, let's remember here, we're in an MMO, we're going to have base building. We're going to have all these areas where we're going to be able to accrue our assets. We're going to have like a store of value. You're going to have a lot more team play. And you're going to get in that mode. There's going to be a lot of people. It's not a small percentage as people think. Everybody always says, oh, PvPers, oh, it's such a small percentage. Okay, yes, I will say that there are more PvEers than PvPers. But in terms of like going to a sandbox, you're getting PvPers going straight to Star Citizen that want a sandbox PvP experience. And if they're hopping in a heavy fighter and they're trying to PvP in a heavy fighter, forget it. Forget it. They're probably not even going to come back. They're just going to be like, screw this. So what? Do we want to lose those players because they're PvPers? No. Fuck no. Some of the most exciting gaming moments of my life have been in a PvP situation. Sometimes I didn't even want it to be a PvP situation, and a PvP situation just erupted. Ask Retro. About a week ago, he wanted to come with me and do some cool shit, and I got myself in a crossfire. I didn't even try to get into it. He was going to come help me out, and I fucking died before I could get there, and it just erupted around me. It was crazy. And it was one of the coolest experiences ever. And those types of experiences are really cool. Large organization flight battles, PvPs, so cool. And a lot of PvEers that get in those situations have a blast. They just don't know it. Because they're in their cocoon, they're trying to stay safe. They don't want to, it's okay. It's a style of play. Go ahead. Not trying to trash it or down on it. Again, I'm in a space dad mode lately. I've been doing a lot of industrial work. I got a lot of things to say about industrial kind of work too that could be improved upon.
The heavy fighter class in general, but we have some even more updates or more ideas for the
more updates.
Flight model.
So the current ratio on where the fighters sit doesn't necessarily need to stay this way. We have the updated flight model coming, and we're using that to basically, I wouldn't say reset, but reevaluate especially the relationships between the fighters. For example, in our perspective at the moment with the with the updated flight model, the heavy fighters, they just feel a little bit too tanky because they're still fighters, right? So we're currently evaluating whether or not we should make them more vulnerable, because if you...
What? No. Make them more vulnerable? They're already vulnerable. What is he talking about? What? I don't know if he's talking, I don't know if it's a language barrier and he's talking about that they're slow and tanky, or if he's just talking about the overall hit points, because they do not have durability. So if he's talking about like the tankiness in terms of like hit points, no, I mean, that shit needs to be beefed up, man. They're getting shredded up in PvP. I don't know what he's talking about here. Maybe he's talking about movement and mobility, but to me, I'm a little concerned about this. Again, I got a really concerned vibe lately. I got a really concerned vibe with this flight model team. I really do. And again, I respect the fact that these guys are taking time out of their lives to do this work. I'm not, I'm not trying to be an asshole here. I'm really not. I'm just talking about the game that I love, that we all love. And like, to me, when I'm hearing this, like right now, we're only 7 minutes into this and already I'm getting a headache. Like already I'm starting to get a headache.
If you compare some numbers from, for example, like Gladius versus a F8, we're looking at like a 5 times health. That is like quite a lot for a fighter class. So we're evaluating or reevaluate that once the new flight model or the updated flight model is coming online. And
when you say evaluate, that means you're still making your decisions.
Yeah, sure. Nothing is ever set in stone when it comes to that.
Yeah. You're asking the question whether that 5 times is right. You're not sitting here saying today 5 times is wrong.
No.
We're still looking at that. And Mattia, you make a good point about how you don't just, in order to tune the heavy fighters or any fighter class or any ship class, it's not just the work on that ship. You then have to make a pass on everything else. It's this constant kind of thing where you go through every class and then you go back through and you go through every class, then you go back through every class and you just refine the entire field of ships over and over again. And that's where you're going to find out whether 5 times is right, maybe 5 times is right, and then things like the Connie and Cutlass need to go up to 6 or 7 or whatever. It's one of those things you're going to find it through multiple.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of with the limitless here. We need to stop all this, we need to kind of dial it in here. We need to start dialing shit in. And again, we're at the point where I think we did take the flight model a step backwards into easy mode because of Squadron 42. Damon says, how can they be unsure of the flight model but also have Squadron 42 done? Well, it's going to be done in 2026. Like, doesn't Squadron 42 need the same flight model? Maybe that's what's happening here with master modes. I've said this a few times, Damon. I think they dumbed down the flight and made it a less of a simulation experience to get more people onboarded and spend more and have more of the kind of casuals come in and spend their money, so that it's easy mode flying right now, right? And they're doing it because the flight model in Squadron 42 has been easy mode, master modes. And so they took the Squadron 42 model that they've got, slid it over here to the PU. And I think that's what we've got right now. That's me speculating, by the way. That's kind of where I'm at. And I think that the flight model that we have in the P will eventually be changed. Eventually. And this could be like an after the Squadron 42 thing. I mean, like, hear what we're listening to right now. I got to say, I'm not convinced, but Yogi is saying that they've got a flight model locked and loaded, ready to go. And, frankly, I'm not going to believe it till I see it in the PTU. I want them to lock and load this up for people in the PTU, and I want to see what people in the PTU are saying about it. I want to experience it for myself, and I want to see what the changes are. I think the biggest changes need to happen in atmospheric flight. And,
multiple passes, which is what you guys have been doing.
I'm seeing no confidence from the team. Mad Style brings up a good point as well. I'm seeing no confidence when he said that, and some of these, I'm not seeing confidence from the team here either, which just does not make me feel good. Yep.
For some time now, for being candid about it.
I mean, we can never really set it to a fixed thing. Like, we can plan as much as we want, but whether our plans survive then reality is a different question. Also, like, sometimes other things coming, for example, the upcoming armor system and so on, that will also change these dynamics and might just require some other adjustments somewhere else.
I imagine your thoughts on these things actually change over time too. Like, how many years have you been here now, Yogi?
Ooh,
A long time.
Yeah, it's close to me. I'm on 11, and I'm like, I can't remember a time when you weren't here.
I joined 2017.
I mean, that's the one shining grace here is that Yogi has been with Cloud Imperium for a very long time. So his tenure at Cloud Imperium has been there. He does know the systems. He does know the people. That is the one saving grace here is that he's been around for a long time. But that doesn't save him from the criticism that I have here.
But gameplay since 2019,
okay.
I think. Yeah.
So I'm certain the way you thought about some of these things in 2017 is not the same as you thought of them in 2020. It's not the same you thought.
Right.
I'm sure there are some things that are still the same.
Well, yeah,
but
I think details change over time a bit, right? Because sometimes you just prove that A or B doesn't really work. For example, also the idea to have a perfectly balanced game is a bit. This can be. Sure, we can go for this, but it doesn't necessarily need to be that because the relationships of players playing, they're so complex to grasp. The hardest case we have in our combat design is same skill, same pilot, same skill, same ship to get a fight going in a 1v1 scenario without any other external factors. This is like when you get this one right, then you probably have something that you can really work with. But it's hard to actually get to that thing because even if you have two really good pro players fighting against each other, it's hard to tell which one of these is better. I mean, you can maybe count kill times or so, but there's so many factors and that's sometimes hard to grasp. So I'm not entirely sure that...
No. This is a very bad take here. Get two very good players, right? And pit them against each other in different roles, different classes of ship. That's it. Yeah, I mean, there is no further complexity than that. In order to test the actual role and function of the ship, you need to have two players that are pretty hardcore in terms of combat experience and the ability to fly good, and you put them in two different types of ships that showcase the ability of the ships that you've designed from John Crew's ship design team, the roles defined through John Crew's ship design team. Then you pit them against each other. You pit these two. You get play testers. This is not something that is this complex. You take two people of equal skill or relatively equal skill. It doesn't have to be dead on. It just has to be two really good pilots. You get them with some flight sticks. You hook them up. You get good PCs, and you let them go to town in different types of ships. And you see if the actual ship designed by John Crew and his teams that are defined by them are actually functioning the way that they should. This is not something so difficult, man. This makes me really worried. Like, there's not a lot of difficulty here.
That we need a completely balanced game because ships are different, like people are different, real world airplanes are different, have pros and cons and so on, but you can never really balance them out completely, right? So we'll see.
Well, you're just giving people their first Reddit thread. We start CIG developers. I'm not sure we need a completely balanced game.
No? So hang on. What we're still aiming for is like we try to avoid a meta game, right? This is like something we're still trying. It will be incredibly hard, but if we have a game at some point where like almost all ship types have a purpose, where it makes sense. Also, like maybe in the value that you bought that ship for in an in-game shop or something like that, then we're probably in a good place.
Yeah, and it's one of those things. It's some ships are meant to be. There's progression in mind. It's not every ship is supposed to be equal. Some ships you're supposed to progress through. Yeah. A Gladius is where the light fighter journey starts. It's not where your light fighter journey is supposed to end.
Sure. And
stuff like that. So you have to. So just by the very concept of progression, not all ships can be balanced, nor should they. They're supposed to be you start here and you move here and you move here. Now,
yeah, this is common sense stuff. Yes, okay. Okay.
That has changed quite a bit over the years, and it will continue to change as the game continues to develop.
But they need to test the ship's function against other ships to see if they're actually reacting and acting the way that they should in the role that is defined by the team that designed it. Simple as that. Like, let's stop with all this. Like, this is like craziness. It's as simple as that.
There was one more thing I wanted to follow up on and stuff, and I lost it. I lost it because there was a guy in the Twitch chat who was like, "Syracuse's a joke" and whatever, and I was just like, I'm like, thanks for watching.
And so many people that get so mad at SIG is something so disturbing to me. Like when people get like so angry, it's like, dudes, you know how many other titles are out there to take a breath and go outside and play some other game? I will never get people that get so fucking angry. Like, okay, I'm super passionate about this game, but like, fuck. Like, if I was like going into their own Twitch chat where they're taking time out of their day to talk about the fucking game, and like, I would never be like, "You're a fucking joke, you motherfuckers." Like, you know what I mean? Like, dudes, like, you got like some serious anger issues if you're going at them like that. I mean, like, seriously, like, there's some mental illness there, man. Like, I'll talk about Richard Trowler's Van shirt being too tight all day long song because that's funny as shit. And I'll talk about Yogi being a glider pilot, and that's why most of our ships feel like leaves in the wind. And not the cool way like Firefly either. See, now that's some nerdy sci-fi right there. Just letting you know.
Let's just move on to the next question, and if I remember it, I'll come back. What happened with the new quantum travel experience that we saw at CitizenCon 2953, so 2 years ago?
Okay, so at this point...
this is what we talked about at the very beginning. This is cool. This is cool. Let's hear this here.
Quantum experience that you saw there was exactly how it was at that time in Squadron 42. That design since then has changed a bit. Also with the requirements of the other flight model changes that we're currently doing. So in general, there's 3 parts to the new flight model. It's like the quantum experience, the updated space flight model, and the control surfaces. And all of these got changed and expanded based on the requirements that we saw. And right now, what we back then described as quantum boosting is basically has changed a little bit. So quantum boosting will be used for like the slow speed range that you use to do nav mode with, right? So if you want to go there's basically 3 speed range.
This sounds like they got rid of it. That demo that I showed you from CitizenCon 2 years ago, this sounds like I'm kind of with Limitless here. Limitless goes, the answer, we scrapped it. That's what it sounds like to me, man. There's a lot of skirting around the edges, man. What's going on here? Like, what's going on? What kind of answers? Like, I don't know if it's, I don't know what's going on here. It just does not feel concrete. Nothing feels concrete. The way he's explaining of this does not feel concrete to me.
Just that you need in Star Citizen. One is to go from, let's say, one POI to another, or between planets or something like this, like where we're talking millions of kilometers, right? Then you need the range in which you're navigating within these spaces. So let's say going from, let's say you have a bubble of like 300 kilometers or so in size. You need to navigate in between there, but you don't want to fly with your SCM speeds, right? So for that, quantum boosting will be used. And then there's normal SCM speed region. So basically the thruster-based flying, which will still be limited to, I don't know, maybe 300 meters per second or so.
No, Caveman Crafty in the Twitch chat says, in other words, that quantum video was marketing fluff.
No, it was not. No.
It was definitely real.
No.
Literally just said, it's exactly how it was in Squadron at the time it was recorded.
Yeah.
That's how it was.
It was all real. It was real gameplay. You can actually see that it was real gameplay because
it was a tech demo, and it's the work that they put into it. It's the tech demo, and we need to know if it's being applied anytime this decade. I mean, that's really what the crux of the issue is, right?
On stage, our left stick broke, and you can see that.
Yeah, that was so unprofessional, by the way. The left stick breaking, just crazy.
In the video, because the velocity meter on the left side is constantly twitching. Because the stick broke, it was all real.
You try.
It was a build.
Real.
It was a build.
Here's a fun question. The F8.
Yeah, that wasn't like some fake shit. Like people just don't understand game dev. That's a tech demo. That was a build that they were using to test that out, and people just don't understand game dev. People that is like, oh, it's fake. It's not fake, you dumb motherfuckers. It's a build that they're using to see if it's something that is compatible with currently what's going on with the game and how they're going to present it in a future iteration. My biggest gripe is like, let's get it going. Let's put it in the PTU, load it in the chamber, and let's try something different out.
Will the F-8 ever once more become a mobility monster? Like it was built in Squadron 42 Prologue. As of the current moment, it feels like a flying brick and with all the agility of one. Rich, what the hell are you doing to my baby? That's what it says.
Yeah, Rich.
Is that what it says?
That's what it says.
Oh, no.
I'm just reading it.
Yeah, so it's about providing a tuning that fits the archetype of that ship, and that's something we're always working towards. Is
what was the ship? I missed
giving
the
ship
ship.
The archetype, and it's and I said it's always work in progress. And that ship in particular it's got loads of guns, it's got loads of thrusters, and as you say, not all ships have to fit.
Oh, the F-8.
The perfect progression of balance, and that's in that sense. So we're definitely looking at what the ship should be with a new flight model as well. There's going to be some more changes there, because a big thing with the new flight model is we're going to have far more tools at our disposal to make ships.
Yeah, this is bigger than just one ship. I agree with you. Stunner says, in my opinion, this is a dumb question to address in this show about the tuning of one specific ship. Yeah, this is a bigger discussion than just the F-8. Right, right.
Different. Whereas at the moment we've got tools.
This is where it gets me sometimes. This is one of the reasons that Spectrum is so difficult for me to look at. It's like some of the fucking questions from fans are really fucking stupid that you got to question, like if they're still at the Neanderthal phase. You know what I mean? Like I'm so glad that we have like a really high IQ audience here. I'm so happy that you guys are fairly up to date on the process. And for those people new coming in, they seem like pretty smart individuals. But like sometimes I see these questions come in like this and it's like, what the fuck, guys?
But we're quite limited in that context of providing ships that are quick but are sluggish at the same time. So we kind of, we're kind of in a box with the current balance a little bit in that regard. But with the new flight model, we've got more tools to give us maybe a ship that can be really quick, but actually takes a little bit longer to get there. Or the acceleration is a little bit slower, but it can move, faster.
I do want to. Anything you want to add, Mateo?
So we do know that at the current state, the overall heavy fighter angular velocity has got decreased a little bit, but we think it's for the better. And once again, we think the feeling and the perception that we see on the player side these days is mostly related to, once again, the relation between those ship classes, right? And in our opinion, once again, what we want to reach is like a balanced and intended gameplay experience for the ship per se, right? So having a super OP, mega powerful ship, it's
Pepe Dragon
cool
emerges.
The first time that you have it, right? But after a while, when it becomes the meta and it becomes the forced choice game design wise and gameplay wise,
love you, bro.
I don't think this is a good direction or either a fun direction. So what we want,
yeah, it's not healthy.
Now, of course, you're going to say that, and Twitch is about to fill up with people saying, "But what about this ship? And what about that ship? And what about that ship that are currently OP and stuff like that?" And the answer is, we'll get there.
And that's a big thing about the balance is it's a continuous thing. It's moving. It's evolving all the time, and we can't tune 200 ships all in one go when we figure something out. So it has to come in steps, which is why we've done pass on the medium. It's why we've done the pass on the heavies. And then and that'll keep evolving, but we have to do it in pieces because we just we can't move 200 ships at the same time. And
also, it's more important for us to kind of move those pieces step by step because we understand the dynamics that we generate inside the game a bit better as well. So we get more knowledge about it. We understand how player prefer to use certain type of ship rather than others. So moving those Lego bricks in tiny blocks, it's easier than just moving one and see how it performs and then try to scale everything according to that. So that's what we're going to try to do, and what we are trying, what we have tried to do, and what we are actually doing as well with the current monthly updated patches. So we always try to deliver something to address maybe a specific issue or a specific area of the.
When I'm listening to this, you know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking they don't have enough people in QA. I'm thinking they don't have enough people quality assurance. I think there's not enough people testing it. I think that there's not enough people at Cloud Imperium directly testing the game. If they had more testers and they were able to actually go in there with gamers who had a basic knowledge of the flight experience, that they like a simulative flight experience, that preferred a more real flight experience, right? And I think if they had that many people in there that could do this, I think they'd be able to handle the load. They can't handle the load. Yeah. They need more people flying, saying what they do and what they don't like, and they need to shuttle that off to the PTU ASAP, And then it comes back, and then they tweak based on the PTU experience and what the fans are saying. Not all of them, but they need a lot more people testing the game. It sounds like they're strapped right now. It sounds like there's not enough people employed doing this for them.
The ship flight in the game.
Zodicide says, just hire more people to balance at the same time. And
here's the thing. Here's the thing. It's that, but it's also leadership. It's also being able to manage a team that's larger and getting feedback from that team effectively. But they're downsizing. They're actually lean and mean. They're getting leaner and meaner, and they're cutting offices, and they're cutting some people. And they're not in the state of expansion right now. So, hey.
He's got that the one Twitch emoji with the kind of sarcastic face. So I think he's going to be. I think that's a sarcastic comment. I'm not sure. I'm not up on the popular culture, but no, it's just one of those things where 9 doctors don't make a baby in 1 month and whatever. Plus.
Yeah, but listen. At the same time, when you got a hospital with only 9 doctors in it, and there's like 1,000 people having babies in it, 9 doctors is not enough. Get what I'm saying? I mean, like, really, that's a little bit more of an analogy we need to go with here. We got 200 plus ships, and how many people we got testing these ships? Because, I mean, if they're a handful, it's not enough. 1 doctor can make 1 baby in 3 minutes.
As I said on earlier this week to another thing,
Limitless.
Not everybody at CH.
Limitless, what do you do?
CAG is not a monolith. You have what you think and want. You have what you think and want. You have what you think and want. Ideally, we find compromise. We find places, but adding more people will often bring in more opinions and more stuff, and actually can make.
Stunner saying, from a management perspective, I do feel bad for this team. I don't get the feeling they've been given a here's the target we are aiming for. And, like, if I were Chris, I would give them an outline, which he probably has, but I would want the people that I assign to that task to be the ones that are saying, here's the target we are aiming for. I want self-starters, and I want people put in that position that will say, here's the target we're aiming for. Like, I want somebody getting in there. I say, here's a sketch or an outline of what we're looking for, right? I'm Chris. All right, great. So now I'm going to get Yogi, and I'm going to get Richard in here. And then along the way, if with the first 4 months, I'm not hearing them say, here's the target we're aiming for, then I'm kind of like, maybe I didn't choose the right people. You get what I'm saying, Stunner?
Finding consensus even harder. So it's just one of those things where, unfortunately, hiring more devs is not the answer to everything. If you need to make another location, possibly. But if you're trying to fine-tune the balance of a thing, not always the case. I want to ask.
It's not just fine-tuning the balance of a thing. It's fine-tuning the balance of multiple things. A lot of multiple things and a lot of roles. And these are 2 areas where I think that actually hiring more people would help. The ship dev team, John Crew looks stressed out 24/7. I'm surprised John Crew hasn't gone bald yet with his beautiful ginger mane. I'm surprised he's still got hair on his head, because it always looks like that motherfucker's stressed out, and it always looks like he doesn't have enough people helping out with the ship design team, because there's so many ships coming out at one time because they got to keep that revenue churning, right? So hire more people for John Crew. And let's hire some people here for Yogi's team, man, or at least some testers in the QA department. Let's beef that up a little bit, and let's get them in these ships, and let's have these things going here. I mean, like, really, I think Jared's wrong here. I actually think this is not about, like, let's throw more people at a problem. This is not that. The problem is large. There's a lot of quantity here, and you can't. Again, the analogy is, 1,000 women show up at the hospital and they're like, help, we're going into labor, and there's 9 doctors. You know what I'm saying? Like, we need more doctors, or these babies are going to be in some serious trouble.
2 more questions about, I remember what I wanted to talk about before. in balance. You mentioned player skill.
Yeah.
There's this thing. There used to be a guy who worked here, Vinny Sinatra. He was our QA lead back in the day in LA studio, and that guy could do things in a Gladius that I could not see anybody else do. It didn't matter what ship you flew. If he was in a Gladius, he could kick your ass. And that was the thing. Like the Gladius, the light fighter meta, the way that it just spoke to him. It was like this perfect match between pilot and ship. But you don't always get that. Sometimes people, they desperately want to fly. They desperately want to fly my Superman punching ship right here because it's the aesthetic
I had one of those
that they want, and it has the role that they want, but it's not perfectly suited for who they actually are. And the comments that come from that are, oh, well, this thing is underpowered, or this thing moves slower. And the answer is, well, maybe this ship actually isn't the one that was right for you. Maybe this other ship is the one. How do you incorporate that, and how do you manage that? This player preference and the player skill level, how does that factor into your balance plans here?
So it's really complex. So we start off with a shipping concept, and the team we work with, the vehicle team and the drone crew, and we work with them on...
I don't like to hear that it's complex. Again, like I said before we started this, there's going to be a lot of angry people with me. There's going to be a lot of people angry with me. But I'm telling you, as I'm listening to this dev team, I'm just going to step in and tell you that I don't like that answer. It does not have to be complex. Make it simple. Make it simple. That's the job. Take what it is and streamline it and make it less complex. Your job is to take the complexity and make it simplicity. That's the job.
Identifying the kind of identity of that ship and what it should be and what it will be in the game. And then according to that, we're building a certain character that we think suits that ship. It could be really fast forwards, it could have really good handling, or it's really slow and clunky. We just don't know. But it depends on the ship. So we try and apply that, and then it just evolves from the loadout of the ship. It can depend on the weapons, or or if it doesn't have the weapons to defend itself, what does that mean as well? Does that mean make it really tanky so it can't fight back, but it can sustain? But all those different things that we have, all the tools we have at the disposal, create what that ship is in the game. And then from that, the players themselves have choices within that ship what they can have as well. And we try and provide as much as we can to give the players to move the ship a little bit more in that place or that place, depending on what they want. But the ship always has a kind of window that it will operate in, and it might creep into other ships if if you have different components, stuff like that. But it's always got that core identity.
And sometimes that's not going to align with each individual player and what they want it to be. And that's not a balance issue. That's a thing that happens when you've got a game with 200 ships. If I could fly around in any ship and be an ultimate fighter, I'm going to speak about me personally here. It would be the Mantis. I love the aesthetic of the Mantis. I think the Mantis could have been the coolest damn fighter ever. And that's not how it was built and whatnot. And I've tried the few times I still get into the game, whatever. I always try to fight, Mantis, and I struggle, and that's just because I love the aesthetic of it so much. I want that, stuff like that. So, but it's one of those things. It's like that's not a balance problem. No. That is simply that ship is not meant to do the thing that I want.
Yeah, I don't. Again. The talk needs to be more about the actual flight experience. I mean, we're getting into like ship to ship to ship to ship to ship mode with an overarching thesis that is so confusing and befuddled by all these guys. The point is we need a better flight experience, and I don't feel like the team knows the fucking direction that they're going in right now. Frankly, and it could be they're just nervous in front of the camera, but like I listen to a lot of quarterly calls from companies, right? And you either are going to nail it or you're going to flub it. And like right now, this just seems like a flub to me, right? If I'm listening to a conference call, from AMD, right? And Lisa Sue gets on there, like last quarterly, I was like, oh my God, this quarterly, like the numbers weren't bad at all, but like the way they presented it was just horrible. and the stock suffered a little bit. And now it's bouncing back up. But I've listened to a lot of these quarterly calls, and you got to have the confidence. You got to have people on there that have a clear, defined direction and actually can make things clear to people. And there's no clarity here. It's all clouds, man. Like, it's all obscured, and the talks everywhere. There's no direction here. I feel like I'm on this road, just like they're dragging me along. I don't feel like we're getting anywhere, man.
Wanted to do, and I always have to kind of remind myself.
I mean, there is like a good analogy. There's is from there was a German World War II ace which was called Adolf Galland, and he flew the Focke-Wulf 190 and the Me 109, and although one of them was better, like the Focke-Wulf was a lot better in terms of like the stats. He actually preferred the BF or the ME 109 because it was just better in handling. And like it just speaks to the characteristics of the ship. The ship have the characteristics. It might not be the right ship for you. Maybe you just like focus so much on one ship that your muscle memory is all aligned with how this or that ship should handle, right? But this is why we have different ships, right? Like these are just different. Well, they give you different access to the universe. Maybe the handling is different, but then you have a big size 4-gun somewhere else. So
the second question I want, we've said already, and folks like, will you talk to us more about the flight model? We're going to do that in just a minute. This is my setup for that.
Okay.
We have done, Yogi, Rich, we have done a lot of these shows over the years, whether it's here at SCL, whether it's on an ISC, or whether it's even a CitizenCon presentation that we put together and whatever. For a number of years now, we have said, this next thing is our thing we're waiting for. Whether that was master modes, or whether that was hover mode before that, or whether that was operator modes, whether it's flight model, stuff like this. At various points over the course of Star Citizen's now 13-year development, it's been something or other that we're waiting on that unlocks the next thing. Now, and along that, it's been armor penetration. And it's been recently, we put flight blades in there, and that allows you to tune things like this. We know that crafting is coming up. Crafting is going to dramatically change how so many of these ships go, because now you're going to be able to build some version of these ships and affect their characteristics in the one that you buy. We're selling the stock versions, but people are going to be able to craft their own individual versions, and some level of customization will go into that. Is it futile to try to do any balancing along the way? Is this just a waste of everybody's time to try to...
God, no. This is like the most important fucking... Besides server tech, this is it. This is the make or break of the game. No. Work on the base model. What is so fucking confusing? I do not like to see the dev team this fucking confused. Or at least Jared this confused, who's been there since the very beginning in the dawn of fucking time. The base model is the model that needs to be tested. Why is it so fucking complicated? Like, why does it seem like they're overcomplicating everything? Just fucking test the base models with people that know how to fly, pit these fucking things against each other, define the rules, make sure they're doing what they need to do. Of course, you don't want every ship flying the same, and that's the balance. What is so difficult here? Why are we overcomplicating everything? This is making me fucking nuts.
To try to balance heavy fighters, to try to balance light fighters, when you know there's so many outstanding systems still coming?
No, so I'd say it's part of the journey. And let's say we throw away everything tomorrow, we still have what we've learned along the way. And that's really important, because we're constantly learning. It goes back to you earlier. I've been here 7 years, and my understanding of the game and the game mechanics has fundamentally changed in that time. And as we've built more systems and we've added more to the game, and we do know the game's not complete, but it's kind of exciting because we're building towards that, and we're always moving in that direction and learning more and getting better, hopefully, at what we do. So we change things along the way, and then we have other systems that come.
Listen, I get that there's added systems along the way that might tweak the flight model, but come on, guys. This should not be rocket science. This is the fucking very basics of this game. Like, let's get really real here. Base model of every ship with people who are testing them against each other, making sure that they're clearly serving the role that they were defined for. This is it. There is no other complexity here. Like, I don't understand this ring around the rosy bullshit that I'm watching right now, and it does not make me feel good. It makes me feel like they don't know what the fuck they're doing. I mean, Jesus, look at the way Yogi's looking at Richard right now. Everything about this still is wrong. Everything about what I'm looking at in this still is very wrong. Richard's fishing for words. Yogi's looking at him in this kind of like anxious kind of like, okay, let's hope that this one works. I can read the fucking mannerisms here. This is not good.
Come in and they might throw a curveball in that, system that we've made, but we're learning along the way to build what we think is the best game.
Listen. They need Gandalf to come down on this shit. This is a team without Gandalf on it. Gandalf needs to come down and get on that motherfucking bridge and put the staff down and go, you shall not pass. Like, that's what we need. We need a dude who says, this is the flight model. This is what it is, motherfuckers. We're going to do it. We're going to do it right. And I'll put the goddamn staff down and I will say, you shall not pass. Like, this is just a bunch of hobbits without a wizard. This is a bunch of hobbits without a wizard.
Yeah, I think I can add something on that from a different perspective, because I joined the team roughly around 2 years ago.
What is going on here?
As these other two veterans, right? But it's very important in order to, as a game designer in my case, but in general, I think as a developer, to have that knowledge and being able to have that experience in tuning and getting accustomed to the game, getting to know how the game is working currently. Also to understand, first of all, what can you do and what can you plan to improve the game in the future, in the long run?
I told you people would get mad at me, right? You know why I'm so passionate about this? Because it's so important. And I understand my viewers are not used to seeing me this way, but the old school ones are, the ones that have been around forever, that understand how much I care about this game. I fucking love this game. I am so passionate about this game. So pardon me while I go off beast mode a little bit, but I'm just stating things the way they are as they're being presented to me, and I've never held back. I have always promised to my audience that I will continually give you my thoughts without a filter. Whether you like me or hate me for those opinions, that's up to you. But I will always tell you how I'm feeling when I see issues arise like this, and this is a big issue for me, man. This is a big, big issue for me. Yeah, Betty says DG is an old timer. I've been around since the very beginning, man. Damon says, DG, I'm semi-erect watching you. Shit on SC. Listen, I'm having the best time of my life playing the game right now. I really am. I'm going in there. I'm having a great time right now in Pyro. I've been playing nonstop religiously for the past month and a half, 2 months, more than I ever have. And there's a lot for me to enjoy in the game right now. To me, the game is great, and I'm having a good time. Lots of bugs still, but hey, I'm very immersed, and I'm having a great time. But the flight model's always been just this eating away at me. The flight model has always eaten away with me, and server tech as well. And I've been saying stability for years upon years now, and everybody who's been watching me knows that I have. And we got that we have had that flag planted down for a long time. In the very beginning of this year, Benoit came out with Jared and said, we're getting back to first principles. We're going to focus on this, have no fear. Great. I haven't heard anything else from it. Haven't heard a goddamn peep from Benoit after that, which is concerning. And that's number one, server tech. Number one key, most important issue for me. Number two, flight model. So yeah, I'm very vocal about these two things. And I'm just going to say it the way I feel it with no censor. That's who I am. That's who I am. That's how I got here.
And also be prepared for that when the moment comes. You know what to do, you know what to expect, you know what to manipulate in order to create the right experience, right? So it's never a waste of time. And also, I guess you guys want to play as well the game, right? From time to time. So playing a game that is in a better state probably is better than just a game that is not balanced at all in it.
I think there's often, over the course of the 11 years I've been here, I continuously encounter this expectation.
That's my number right there, Betty.
Every answer is supposed to be figured out before you start making the game. And before you start building, that's just not how game development works. It's construction, not development. But it's always, from the player perspective, it is always incredibly challenging, because we have backers, we have players, we have citizens out there who want desperately to believe in us. They want desperately to believe that we know what we're doing. They want desperately to believe that there's a master plan and stuff. And the reality is,
Stunner says, DG, you should reach out to Yogi for an interview, see if he would indulge you. I'm blacklisted over there. They hate me over there, Stunner. There's a few choice people that do love me, that I love, like Elliot, Donnie, and a couple other behind the scenes that give me some info that I will not say their names. Those two up on the top, always been here, always been down in the show, and right here in our midst. They watch the show every once in a while. They come in here. Great guys, love them. And you know, Yogi's been around for a very long time too. I love his commitment. I'm not trying to shit on these guys. I'm really not. Like, I appreciate the work that these guys are doing, but like, man, oh man, this is not their best. This is just not their best right here. Yeah. I think that would be cool, Damon. I do. Yeah, they hate me over there.
We know what we're doing, and there is a plan.
They do. They absolutely hate me.
Change.
And I still love the game,
but we learn.
Like, I am completely blacklisted over there, and they do not want to even utter my name, with exception of a couple people. And it's been that way for a very long time. It's been that way for a very long time, and I'm still here supporting the game because I love the game so much. I don't take shit personally. I probably said something that pissed them off. That's because I don't have a filter. I can accept that.
More along the way, and those things that we learn change our perceptions. They change our ideas along the way.
Erad and I have never gotten those wonderful gifts directly from Cloud Imperium to help our channels out, even though, you know, like, we've been talking about Star Citizen from the very beginning. Remember, Erad? Like, Erad and I have been doing this for the love of the game, man. We're not getting anything. Erad and I don't get anything for this. There's plenty of other channels that they give ships to. The Cloud Imperium just gifting ships all the time to these other channels. Erad and I, bunch of crickets. Nothing. Yep. I think I had a shout out one time on Around the Verse way back in the day, Betty. I think I had one shout out, and I was showing everybody the first turret. When the first turret landed, whatever patch that was, Jared showed some footage from the channel, and I think that was the only shout out I ever got, and everything ever since that, nothing.
Way. We have that plan, and then new systems come online and stuff, and that plan has to change, and it has to evolve and stuff like this. And it's never an issue of not knowing what we want to do or not being able to do it. This is what game development is. It is this constantly evolving, never-ending thing to find this thing that we're all trying to build together. There's Chris's vision, there's Rich Tyler's vision, there's your guys' vision, there's everybody's vision, and it's about synthesizing that vision along the way. And it's going to change, it's going to evolve, and it can be very frustrating, both for player and developer alike. And it's just, I don't really know where I'm going with this.
I just think that there are a lot of people with a lot of visions. Chris, obviously the most important vision that gets, realized. I think Chris took a back seat. I think he got a lot of heat. I think he took a lot. I think Chris has taken a lot of steps back, and I think he handed the reins over to Rich. That's my kind of thesis that I've been working out. And again, that's speculation. But for those of you who don't know who Rich is, hold on one second. Let me see if I can pull up a picture. Here you go. There's Rich. And I think Chris kind of handed over the reins in terms of vision for the game and getting things condensed. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I think that's kind of what's going on in the world of Cloud Imperium right now. And
I feel like I want to acknowledge that.
I don't think that the vision has changed a lot, though, right?
No.
I mean, like, the one thing you can't underestimate is, like, engineering and design.
What's up, Diva? Welcome back. Oh, you've been missing me ranting and raving, Diva.
Seriously, like, 90% of all the things that player proposed that we should do better, we usually thought about these already, right? Because this is what we're doing for a living. but it just takes time to implement these. If somebody tells me, oh, please add an altimeter or something like this, then there's 15 different problems we need to solve. It's like, it's a lot.
Yeah. And those are the easy part as well, like, because a lot of time player, have very interesting insight and ideas about very complex system that we can potentially put in place, but those touches such a vast amount of other features in the game, and organizing that type of work and getting everyone on board and from completely different teams, especially in a company of the size of CG, it's very difficult, right? But in general, it's very difficult in video game making, so it's not a unique problem for us.
No, but being difficult is what makes it worth doing.
Yeah, we've got we've got a very complex game, but that's very exciting because we are doing it different. All our systems are real systems. They function, they work, and they do real things based on real physics mechanics that happen. And
most times.
Sometimes.
There's a few exceptions.
Yeah, there's a few exceptions here and there. But, most of the time, that works really well for us because...
Oh, come on. No. Come on. This is... Oh, this isn't good.
Warning. Incoming salad vibes.
I mean, this is a train wreck. It's a train wreck. I mean, it's an absolute train wreck. They need better cohesion. Let me just pop out a second. I might get back in this. I don't even know if I can finish all this because right now, I feel like before you get on this show, please somebody have like an outline of what needs to be. I mean, like, okay, great. You got the fans' questions lined up and everything, but like, man, we need to move this shit along here. We need bullet points, and we're just going real abstract, out of the realm of actually what it is that is the focus. And the focus is the flight mechanic and the feeling of flight. And everything that I've been listening to is just overcomplicating. How many times have you heard complex, complicated? They're giving us every reason under the sun to say we can't do our job. I don't want to hear that. Listen to me. I'm telling you right now, again, I've listened to a lot of quarterly conference calls from different companies over the years that I've invested in. And the second I hear this shit, I sell my shares. Now, granted, there's been times where they've hit it out of the park. Like you got to take it all in for what it is. But this is a huge Salad Vibes moment. Like, in terms of the cohesion here, terrible. The only thing that they can all agree upon is that it's complex. Well, no shit, Sherlock, it's complex. The job here is to take the complex and make it simple. When I get a team that has a leader that can focus me in a direction and tell us this is where we're going, here's the goalpost, this is where we're at, these are the issues that we got, and this is how we're going to get there, then thank you, Diva. Then you got me. That's the secret sauce. And I'm sorry, but this is super unprofessional. You're coming to this, you're telling everybody's already pissed off about the flight model pretty much. At least the hardcore simulative, the ones who want the realism are definitely pissed off. And then you're going to give them this? This is so subpar. This is super unprofessional. And there's no cohesion. The only cohesion is they all agree about the complexity of Star Citizen, which is just like, that just blows my mind. That just blows my mind. This is just not what you want to see from Cloud Imperium. It's just not. They can do better. I've seen them do better. This is not good. There's no other way to state it. I might go a little bit longer, but I don't know. I don't even think I can. I don't even think I can get through this. I don't feel like they will concretely answer anything definitively. I don't think there's one definitive answer in here. It's crazy. And when Richard starts to explain something, the way that Yogi looks up at Richard, just like, super anxious about whatever's going to come out of Richard's mouth, it's like, what the fuck, guys? And Jesus. I'll try to keep going. Who wants me to keep going? Put a 1 if you want me to keep going. Put a 2 if you want me to stop. I'm going to leave it up to the live audience, YouTube. That's why you need to get here. 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every Thursday night. 1 if you want me to keep going. 2 if you want me to stop. Okay, 1, keep going. With more sound effects? All right. I mean, I can't even believe we've only played half this video right now. I mean, like, we're in halftime mode and, you know, they better come out. This is like when your football team's down by like 21. You know what I mean? Your favorite football team's down by like 21 points and you're like, okay, maybe in halftime, maybe the coach jazzed them up and got, let's see if the second half comes out better than the first here.
It's a really complex problem to solve, but actually it makes Star Citizen, I think, really unique for us. You know, and it makes it really fun to work on.
Yeah. Yogi's like, yeah, we usually 90% of the time we've usually had that
That's conversation. Probably a bit high.
Like, he goes, there are still plenty of times where we're being completely honest, where you know an idea has come from the community, and it's been like we've been there like, oh, well, that's a really good idea.
Yeah. I had it first, right?
yeah. No. I agree.
Most really good ideas come from me.
I'm in a fountain.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to tell you, a lot of the greatest decisions that they've ever made have come from me. And another great one that I suggested over an hour ago, almost 2 hours ago, was that they give us a more realistic simulative experience for combat ships. And let me review this once again for the people just new to the stream or just catching this right now. So light fighters, medium fighters, heavy fighters, interceptors, even capital ships, all military combat kind of ships. Let's give them the experience that they want. That kind of like more realistic, flight sim vibe. And let's give the industrials who want to just ship things and do industrial type work, let's give them master modes. And let's define it towards the ship. And let's put those fucking modes in the ship. Let's embed it so the flight models are in those ships. I don't know what's so complicated here. Maybe the game dev can't do that. Like I said, maybe it's just A or B. But damn, I think that's an answer. If it can be done. Maybe it can't be done.
Agree with Das really cool 69420. That's a thing to do. I just call that a
No, but I mean we all are we've all seen like similar media. We've all seen similar films. We play Star Citizen because we probably like Wing Commander or Star Wars in the past and so on, right? So there is a common understanding. Star Trek, right? Yeah.
Too soon.
Yeah. So I think even of some things where we would say, oh, we had this idea, it probably just came from somewhere else. We incorporate a lot of community ideas in the designs as well.
Yep. Yeah. All right. So at this point, we're about halfway through the show, Yogi. So I'm gonna turn it over to you. This updated flight model. Now, obviously, when the time comes, we'll probably do an ISC or something on it. But give us the lowdown on what this is and what it will entail and what you're doing.
Okay.
So
I'm just gonna go get a drink if that's cool. Just there we go.
Okay. So following the master mode release, we.
That's when Jared decides to take the drink? Are you fucking kidding me?
We listened to we read the community feedback and so on. We had our own plans with this and basically made the next step what the rest should be. And there's 3 things which are not just the flight model, but the whole flight experience, right? So I mentioned before, we've got the space flight model, which is how ships use the thrusters. We have the atmospheric flight model, which are the control surfaces, which we also demoed in the past, but which got a quite big update now. And there is the quantum experience. So all of these things combined, they're moving the game towards the let's say the traversal vision that CR wants, right? Okay. Because the reason why we have nav mode at the moment, where you can go into this mode where you can reach 1,400 meters per second, is just there to navigate in these big spaces that we need to traverse, because we don't have the quantum code for that yet. Okay. So in terms of the thrusters, thruster flying, so this is not like a groundbreaking, we do everything else. It's just like an evolution of the previous stuff. So it's just like building on what we already have. So the main thing for combat flyers out there is that we're going to have a non-spheric velocity space. This means we can go forward faster than we can come backwards or to the sides. This has the benefit that these typical 6 degree of freedom problems that we have in combat, like backstrafing or kiting, they're much reduced. From our perspective, this just feels better, like the fights are more closer and so on. Also, we added jerk. So jerk is the change of acceleration. So instead of going within a frame from 0G to 9G, we're ramping this up now over short an amount of time, at least for the fighters.
Here we go. Concise
and this
answers.
just makes sure that you have to plan a little bit more ahead, and the rotations feel smoother. What else is there?
Rotation smoother. Okay.
You can. And then we built in a lot of like different steps how to customize IFCS for you. So. So what you have in the game right now is more like an IFCS on training wheels, right? Where at the moment you can turn off a couple of assists like gravity compensation and G-save. And these things in the future, they will actually always mean a little bit of like a buff in terms of like what your thrusters can do. So when you, what you have at the moment in our internal builds, you can turn off gravity compensation, you can turn off the stability. So the stability, for example, changes the behavior of IFCS and gives your lateral thrust more importance than the longitudinal thrust, which means when you're in fights, you are better. It's better for you to, or it's easier for you to evade shots. But at the same time, it makes the flying a little bit more dangerous because it doesn't keep the TVI stable anymore. Well, that's like now more technical details. I'm sorry, you're falling asleep almost, right?
No, I was looking at iCore 102, who was like, this doesn't sound like it's going to solve the problem. And you're like,
oh yeah.
No, this actually exists in real life. What does he mean? Like, guy doesn't even know. By the way, IFCS is referring to Intelligent Flight Control System. It's like software in a plane. So if they're going to put that in the ships, I mean, that'd be pretty fucking cool if you could tweak for a more simulative, real, performative style flight. See, this is, why didn't they lead with this? Do you see what I'm saying? Like, literally 33 minutes in the video, like this, they need to edit these things. This is the most important piece right here. Out of the entire video, it was concise answers, the changes that are happening, and this should have been exactly, this is the entire show. This is the point where this is the most important thing in the entire show. Yeah. Like this 59-minute blathering should be cut down. My blathering, totally acceptable.
Yes, you're not gonna hate me.
I'm allowed to blather. I'm not making the $1 billion space game. I am the blather. I felt like Walter White. I am the blather. Listen. People come here for the blather. Okay, we're not going here for the blather. We need a concise, edited, like, here you go. We're starting out with, this is where I would have started the video out, right here. Concise answers from Yogi. We have solutions. We're getting what the changes are.
4 minutes into a 20-minute exploration, but
that's fine. That's fine. I mean, like, honestly, don't believe.
And the problem is everybody tuned out by this point, except for the hardcore that are here. And let's get an amen for everybody that's still here. Thank you.
Yes, you're not gonna hate me.
When I don't blather, we worry. Right, Retro. Right, man. I do enhance. Thank you, Erad. Like, this is the point I guess I'm trying to get across. I get it. I go beast mode. There is a purpose behind me blathering and going beast mode. And now we finally get to the point of the video that's the most important point of the video. And it's like, okay, great. These are answers. This is concise. But damn, this presentation is horrible. In a weird way, I almost think they should take these Star Citizen lives and not make them live. They should just be in the studio, and they need to cut this shit like they do the Inside Star Citizen, the review show that we have. Don't you guys? I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong with this. I get that you got the live audience and everything, but there's a lot of fat in this. There's a lot of fat that can be trimmed out of this, especially Princess Layla Oh my God, Princess Layla.
Boo! Boo! Boo!
I mean, nobody needed to see that. Just get in here, shoot this, and then cut it up. Half the fucking questions by the audience members were stupid AF anyway. I mean, Jesus H on a pogo stick.
Me when it's available, play it, and then you can judge it properly. The other thing, which is a pretty big chunk, or makes also a big difference, is that we don't have top speeds anymore. And now, before you grasp, oh God, unrestricted speeds. No, there are still restricted speeds, but we don't. In the game data, we don't have any top speeds anymore. The top speed of a ship is what your thrusters can achieve in a fixed amount of time that we define. But the good thing is when you have your power assignment and you
I'm so happy to be here. I know I'm very aggravated tonight, but I'm happy that you guys are here.
Produce more thrust, and more thrust means then more speed.
Yes.
So some artificial
that's what she
speed
said.
limit that the universe has applied to you.
Well, you still have. We need speed limits. We're a game after all, right? But this basically means like, but because it's based on physics, what will happen is you have your gladius and you fire a missile. You see, your overall
totally
weight of the
agree,
gladius
Retro.
reduced now, so your thrust
Great
have the
observation,
same
bro.
thrust output, but your ship is now lighter, so you actually get more Gs. We had this before, but now you also get more speed based on this, right? And looking further ahead, I mean, this is like outside of the new flight model, but when we have Maelstrom and so on, we're also going to have like more realistic ship masses. At the moment, the gladius weights
55 tons.
55 tons.
Yeah.
Our squadron weight.
It's a little bit heavy.
Our squadron gladius was up at 180 tons, which is like close to 747, right? But now the squadron gladius is around 20 tons, which means like the weight of every missile and every component actually matters. So if you, for example, have your gladius or any other ship, and you just rip out the most important components, you will just get much faster.
Yeah, this is going to be very, very relevant for like smaller craft, maybe for racing.
That's cool. The load of the ship, the overall ordnance. This is actually really cool. Here we go. All right. Physicality, weight, gravity. These are the things that we need for a better flight experience. Hold on a second. We're making a turn around the corner here. All of a sudden. All right, these guys, now they're talking. Now it sounds like they know what the fuck they're talking about. You see what I'm saying, guys? A lot of people, man, they're like, oh, DG's actually saying bad shit. I'm just here for him to be good. I just want him to say good shit. I want to be uplifted. And yeah, no shit. I love to focus on positive and fun, but you guys gotta fucking see what it is. This whole thing was a train wreck up until this point. I mean, these are the people working on the game. This is the presentation that they're giving to us, and it was horrible up to this point. Now we're getting answers. Now my tune's changing a little bit. We're hearing the things that need to be heard. Again, why I think if they just cut this show up and put this shit out first, it would go so much better for them. It would be better PR. It would bring in more money. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, this is craziness that I'm the guy who's trying to make sense of it. Like, where is the fucking leader at Cloud Imperium? Come on, somebody step up. Am I the only one that sees this shit? If I were watching this and I were the CEO, I would not let this be released. Or if they, I watched the live. I'm in my bedroom. I'm having a great time. Sandy's there. We're sipping on martinis. I'm watching this in my smoking jacket, and life is great. And then I watch this. I would choke on my martini. I would look over at Sandy, and I'd be like, "What the fuck?" And I would get in there, and I would be like, "Guys, what the fuck is this? Like, we're changing this. This is the presentation was not great. We'll cut this thing up, and we'll lead with this. We'll lead with this. Why am I the guy? How am I the guy?"
Racing as well,
for racing,
having lighter components or removing weapons will, give you that extra window of performances that you can exploit throughout the race, right?
Right. So, and that is basically just the space part of this. On the control surfaces, we have a full licensed pilot on the control surfaces for now, right? That's Kareem. So he's working on the control surface support. What we have already
I'm
ready
blacklisted. I figured this out.
Is the unassisted aerodynamics flight.
Why am I the guy that can figure all this shit
how the
out?
ship feels when you directly affect the deflection angles of the control surface. So you can glide, you can even
glide. Here we go with gliding
even,
again.
Your ship can be entirely.
Listen, the gliding's great, but let's put some physicality and some weight and some motherfucking thrust in these ships, man. These are not gliders. Okay, good. You can glide. You got a ship that's aerodynamic. You can glide if everything shuts off. That's great. But Jesus on a pogo. Stop, Yogi, with the glider kind of physicality on these ships. These are big-ass ships.
Off and shut off, you still have control over your control surfaces, which means if you're getting distorted in atmosphere and you can actually glide down, you can flare and you can crash land your ship in a control.
Cool.
You can do a controlled crash landing, right? And so, and the core on-off thing, which I just mentioned, we introduced a concept which is called the IFCS core. It means what you have right now in the game, where the ship is just constantly.
But an addendum to what he said. That's great. You got a Gladius, maybe a Hornet, or something maybe a little bit more aerodynamic. Hornet, a little bit debatable. Okay, but like something with wings on it where it stalls out and you can glide. Okay, and you can touch down and not die. All right. Okay. But if you're in a motherfucking reclaimer, you're going down hard and you're going to die. Okay. I don't want no fucking gliding in a reclaimer. I don't want no leaf on the wind with like larger ships. You're stoned. You go down, you explode, you're dead. I don't want no gliding. Okay, Yogi? Keep the fucking gliding out of my larger ships. Large ships need to drop like a fucking bowling ball from heaven and create a giant ass crater into the ground. There's no gliding on large ships.
Compensating for your rotation.
Shrapnel says it'll just be a very steep glide.
So IFCS is actively working for you, but IFCS in the future can be slacked down or even turned off. And in this case, you don't have pure Newton flight. So also on
ships
the rotation,
without wings,
boom. And this also happens when you, for example, crash into something. For example, on the Gladius, let's say we know that the Gladius cannot go above, let's say, 20 Gs. Then we might have a limit in the IFCS code that says, when that ship goes over 25 Gs, the course is slapped off for like a couple of seconds, and then it needs to reboot. So during this time, you still have control over your ship. You can still use the thrusters and so on, but it will not auto-stabilize yourself. So it's like more or less like flying like a Kerbal Space Program. So it's which means like you will tumble after every collision. The ship will not recover as fast, and whether the core is on or off also plays a role in atmospheric flight, because in atmospheric flight, when the core is on, we will have a fly-by-wire system that keeps the TVI stable. But when the core is off, you directly control the control surface.
Okay.
So that's.
I want to jump in.
A lot, sorry.
Yeah, I want to jump in and
dude.
say, give Yogi a chance to catch his breath. That 20 and 25 thing, those were numbers off the top of his head to illustrate a point. No, don't go up and update Urkel and whatever. Like, it's going to have a 20 G. Only a 20 G tolerance? Blah, blah, blah.
This is just examples,
Guys?
right? Just examples.
Hold on. It's just an example.
This is great. I want these.
I like that. I like that. I like that. He needs to incorporate more of that. I like that.
We might need it, to be fair.
Yeah.
The open space
like
at the time.
Or like, hey, Mattia, I need something from you.
I feel like that needs to be the thumbnail. What point is that at? Where am I at on this? Okay, I got to mark the time down.
I'm coming over.
So thrusters, atmospheric flight, control services, and the third one was?
Quantum.
We're going to use that as a thumbnail.
Yeah, quantum experience will change because at the moment
What's up, Bradley? How you doing, man?
We traveled through the game, so I think the best example is nav mode will die is probably the. So, but this is like.
No. Look directly in that camera. Hold on. Look.
Which
and
one?
say it again.
This one, right?
Hold on. Go to Yogi's camera. There you go. Say it again.
Nav mode will die.
F's in chat for nav mode, everybody.
Yeah.
Wow.
The reason is more because like it's very clunky to traverse the verse. So the way how it's currently planned, I'm saying currently, it can change, right? Is
what? It can change?
Of course it can change, right? Like if we play it and it's not good, then we'll change it again.
I mean, what they're going to replace it with is a quantum mode, which is going to be very much Elite Dangerous kind of styling, which I wouldn't be against. And they need to have an ability for people to catch people like in the Mantis in a quantum mode and catch them out of quantum, just like ED. Okay, here's a great example of what they need to do with the flight model, right? The moment in time, right, that they switch into this new quantum mode that will get rid of nav mode needs to be extended just slightly. There's still something that's highly debatable, and I haven't really run through it in my head enough yet to give you the definitive, like, this is the way that it should be. However, this new quantum mode, if you guys are familiar with Elite Dangerous, there's also this mode in Elite Dangerous where you can go quantum around, and then also you can, as a ship, be in quantum and ensnare people and take them out of quantum in the system. Highly recommend that. I think that would be an awesome thing. What do you think? Erad's played Elite Dangerous, and he's done the same in the game where you can actually snare people out of quantum and get in a fight with them. I think that would be awesome if they did something like that. Okay, Erad says one. Yes. You're not gonna hate me. I think it would add a lot more fucking crazy cool content for the game because now you got more players getting interactive. I think the pirates would love it. I'm not sure the PvEers would love it so much, but it would give more opportunity for pirates. It would also be exciting for people that are in industrial trade because there's a little danger. Rewards should increase. Rewards should definitely go up. That's one thing that, it tends to be very bad about the reward system that they employ here. And let me give you a great example. And I talked about this at the very introduction of the stream. I recently dusted off the Cuddy Black. Okay, we had a big talk about the Cuddy Black, which generally speaking is just a trash ship now, okay? I hate to say it because I'm a Drake lover, but there's not much you can do with it. So guess what I did? I said, fuck it. I did the salvaging for a while. Let me try the rock mining for a while. Never did it. Let me get into the rock mining. Okay, get the rock miner, get the bags, load it up, get all the essential things in the closets inside the Cuddy. Get ready to go, start learning about what I need to go after with the rock miner. I have a great time until I start getting down on these planets and moons. I get there's a website I'm using, by the way. I'm gonna shout out this website. It's the first time I've actually used it. And for people that are interested in this, but I'm gonna give you some sobering news here. It's called Regolith. Okay, they've got a wonderful mining website. I'm going to put this down here for people that are interested in mining. I think it's a great site, personally, from what I've gathered so far. And I went to town. I spent the whole week kind of getting in that industrialized mode and doing it. And at first, you're going down from planet to planet, and you're scanning. And you're like, and you can't find shit. You can't find shit. You're scanning. It gets to be like crazy. And then you get in this rhythm. You're starting to get in a rhythm. And then you start looking around and you look at the environments and you're like, wow, these are really cool environments. I never noticed this on Aberdeen. I never noticed this on Ariel. I never noticed this on Bloom. I never noticed this. I'm going to all these different places and trying it. And it really makes you go down on the planet and start to just experience the actual terrain. It makes you learn about the lore of the things that you're working on, about the gems and the rocks. It makes you get into the game, what they go to, why they're important. And it's like, wow, this is really cool. You get lost. It's nighttime. You're mining. You turn the lights on. When the rock gets into a spasm and the arm starts, you turn the power off with you, and you do that a couple times, and it fixes that bug. I had to read about these bugs that I had. There's a bug with glycosite. Anyway, I'm getting off track here. My point is, at the end of all this great experience that I actually had a wonderful experience. It was wonderful. It was awesome. It got me down on the planets and the moons. It got me to get a better understanding of what's going on, the art. I really got an idea of the terrain. I got to learn more about these planets and moons really deeply. And then I go back to admin offices. I go to TDD to sell these things. They're worth absolute shit. Now, here's my point. You have a game loop that works somewhat, okay? In my Vulture, when I salvage, it's not nearly the amount of work. I take the unverified salvage missions around Yala. It's 300,000+ credits for an hour, maybe up to 4 if you're really hustling. Man, I spent 2-3, now maybe because I'm new, but I spent like 2 hours-ish, 3 hours. I come back, I get like maybe 150, 200,000 for all these fucking gems. And I'm like, man, these rewards are bonked. I actually did more work on the rock mining, putting the rock in the cutty, scanning, getting out in the little rock guy, mining it, put it in the sacks and the satchels, filling them up. All the work that I did to do this, and I got paid less than salvaging. That's totally fucked up. The rewards on that should be higher. Period. Full stop. And why shouldn't they be higher? Because you're doing more work and you're actually going down on the things that they designed. As a dev, you took the time. You spent the money for these devs to make these planets, these moons. And here I am busting my ass, having a great time looking at the sunsets and the skies and the vistas and the different types of terrain. And man, I had a fucking blast. I had some music on. I was chilling out. I had some NPCs pop on me. I went back up. I blew them up. I came back down. I started mining again. You know what I mean? I was like, hey, cool. This is a fucking great experience. And then I get paid absolutely nothing for it. This is an example of why the devs need to take more time to play the game and realize, and again, why am I the guy? How am I the guy? Why am I the guy that's saying this? This should not be coming from me. This should be coming from the QA department, the people who are play testing this game. Where are the play testers at? Why are they not saying these things? Where are the devs at? Why are they not saying these things? It makes absolutely no sense to me. And frankly, it makes me sad to say this. I had a wonderful time rock mining. I thought it was a cool game loop. And yet, it doesn't reward you. You can grind missions after you faction and make upwards of $1 million or so. Under an hour. Blowing things up, which I love to do. Explosions are cool. But like, if you're doing the hard industrial grind, you're getting paid less? Makes no sense. Especially as an industrial player, damn. As an industrial player, the guys on the ground doing the work, they should be getting hella rewards. Hella rewards. That's why I'm really looking forward to that too, Con. That's why I'm looking forward to that T-Con, is when crafting comes in, T-Con says if crafting becomes a thing, its value will skyrocket. I want player values attached to these things because players will correctly value these things. Yeah, there'll be exploits and yeah, people will go crazy on the pricing, but people won't buy it if it's too expensive, and there'll be an equilibrium just like in every market. Yes, you'll have AI and we all know what's going to happen, and they'll come in and then they'll price things to a certain point and people will go, oh, this is way too expensive. And blah, 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 blah. But I still want a player-driven market. I know that's probably not the way it's going to be, but it'll give more value attached to the task. It will give more value attached to what it is that I did. That's why the economy is so important. That's why the crafting is so important. I can't say that enough. That's why I'm always into the economic gameplay. I love economic gameplay. I love PvP. I love economic gameplay. I got it all. I got it all on this channel. I've been doing this from the very beginning. How many of you started watching me because I had like 2-hour economic talks on what I wanted to see from Star Citizen? If you remember those days, put it. I don't know if there's anybody in here that remembers the economic talks on Star Citizen that I used to have. But I go off for like 2-3 hours about what I want to see from the Star Citizen economy. And I put out like 1 or 2 videos every single week back on the games, right? I would go nonstop talking about the economy. And this is why the economy is so important, because it gives value to those things that people do in the game. I can't tell you how important that shit is. It is vital. It is the most important thing in terms of the gameplay, in terms of rewarding the people that are doing the work. There is no way on God's green earth that salvaging should pay more in an hour than rock mining. Rock mining requires 10 times the amount of energy, 10 times the amount of focus, and you should get paid more than salvaging. Keep salvaging the same. Keep salvaging around $300,000, $400,000 or 300, 400,000 credits an hour, but boost up those rock ore mining rewards, man. Plus, you got people going down experiencing the things that you created. It just makes good sense to me. I mean, it just seems like common sense. To me, again, it's very much like watching the presentation here. It was like the only thing that they agreed upon for the first 30 minutes of this presentation was the fact that they were like, oh, it's complicated. The game's complicated. It's complex. The only thing that I saw was no focus, no answers. And now we finally get the answers here, right? But man, oh man. Man, oh man.
So, but the overall goal
What's
is
up,
to make
Execute?
the
How you doing, buddy?
the,
Good to see you, man.
Verse very, very fluent. And
follow it for runners.
So the thing that will define whether
Love
you can
Execute.
do a quantum,
Love
if you
ERAD.
can use a
Follow
quantum
ERAD
or not,
and
it's just whether
Execute.
it's powered or not. And this is like a resource network problem. So if you select, for example, or if you set up your resources so that your quantum drive is not powered, you cannot use quantum. If it's powered, you can. And then it will be as easy as looking somewhere, holding a button, and off you go like we had in the past. So there won't be any mode switching anymore. There's no quantum drag that slows you down suddenly with 70 Gs or so. Yeah. So
Okay.
that will all be
all right.
more.
Make it like Elite Dangerous.
And
Make
this
it
is
like
like,
Elite
I'm
Dangerous.
not talking, it will be, we have most of this already in Squadrons. It's actually on my to-do list on this week to rip that mode out.
Kinky Execute.
The PU?
No. No. So the way is like due to the time constraints we have in Squadron, we first do these things in Squadron, but everything we do on the flight model is directly moved to the code base of the PU. Basically, most of the stuff of the new flight model is already in the current 4.2 code, but it's of course turned off. We will also not enable it until we have all things in place, including the ship tunings, because in the master mode release, Mattia mentioned that before, we had to go through all the ships very, very fast because we had this time window that we needed to commit to the master.
It shows, doesn't it? I remember when Master Modes came out, I said that. I said it felt like they just took like a general wide brush and just and pumped it out fast. That's exactly what I said, and that's exactly what they're saying now, confirming that.
Master mode changes within 2 months, right? For the new flight model, the data sits all in parallel. So, which means we can, I don't want to say take the time because, but we don't need to rush the implementation or the tuning of the new ships because we don't want the ships to be as similar as they were before. We want to give them character, and we don't need to rush this out because we can have the old and the new flight model data side by side without destroying each other, unless you do an integration wrong like I did. There was a little buff to the Gladius, which was due to an integration which I messed up, and I apologize for that. So
yeah, you guys are so fast in catching up with those changes, man.
Yeah, but instantly
you did this mistake. So 20 minminutes later, there were like 20 videos on YouTube, and 20 seconds later, I fixed the issue, and it was
what? I didn't.
Again,
Let's be real honest here. So there are 3 levels of anything that sort of happens in Star Citizen at any given time. Anytime a patch comes out, one is we've put a thing out there, it's working as intended, and that is either great, or we learn a lesson. Yeah. We learn a lesson, and it's like with master modes and whatever. It's like, okay, well, it changed things, and that's as it should be and whatnot. And I'm proud to say that I can honestly say that's what happens most of the time. Then there's the second scenario where we do a thing, we put it out, and it doesn't work the way it's supposed to because of a bug. There's some other competing system that it integrated into our work, and suddenly like it worked great on my build and here, and then it got into everything else in the PU, and it doesn't work right. Some underlying system is screwing up. There's some rare use case that is being used to exploit it, whatever. It's like, it's like, we wish it's like it kills us because this thing we just put out doesn't perform exactly the way that we wanted it to because of something that was out of our control at the moment. And then there's the 3rd one where sometimes we typed a 7 and we meant a 9.
Yeah.
And that goes out there and you're like, wait, why is that doing that? And it's like, oh no.
That was me.
Oh no.
Usually it's our fault.
Yeah,
this time.
Oh no.
But we have very tiny keyboards, so it's like we need just bigger ones.
You know, and it's one of those things like, sure, you might not hear an admission like that at EA or Activision or whatnot. I guarantee you it happens everywhere. But yeah, we're human. We're human, and sometimes we do those things. Those things happen more often than not. There's a number of times, like you just said, Mateo, where we're watching a streamer, or watching a YouTube, going, wait, that's not how that's supposed to go.
Yep.
You go and you're like,
Oh no.
I mean, we had a case of something similar just with like with the 4.2 release, like the ground turbulence.
the ground turbulence
was meant to be in there for 6 months.
Right, Limitless.
Didn't notice that there was a bug in the noise generator. Well, it wasn't really a bug. It was just me not being careful enough, right? Where it basically did not work on live environments because the time difference is bigger, right? Because in our environment, in our dev environments, it's the time since we started the game. In the live environment, it's the time since 1970. So
yeah.
By the way, if you're here for Dungeons and Dragons stream, apologies. We are going to be moving it quite a bit. So I'm going to say start time on the Dungeons and Dragons stream maybe around 10:15, 10:20 sometime. I really want to delve into this, and I also want to get into some other things on the platter that you guys have picked up. Hi, Maddie. Yeah, show back up around like 10:20. Yeah, like 10:15. Yeah. We're getting into some serious stuff here that's really important with Star Citizen that I just can't leave on. Is that great? Does that work for you, Maddie? Oh my goodness. I accidentally pushed your button earlier. Not that long ago. Execute. Yeah, I just like to be punctual, and I know that I'm already 9 minutes late on my Dungeons and Dragons stream. This is really important to me and to many others here for Star Citizen. We've been following this for years, and I can't just dip out on this. I need to hear this. And then there's some other things that the algorithm picked out that they deserve to watch as well.
Yeah, the variable was too large in order.
Yeah, so the value was too large for the noise generator to actually give us a value.
yeah.
It was working for us, and
It's great. Works on my machine.
Yeah, it works on my machine.
This is why we love Maddie. Maddie's super awesome. I love her.
Out there who will take admissions like that and stories like that as some.
We're trying to move it to Wednesday, but we need more support.
Or not knowing what we're doing and whatever. And if you're choosing to take it that way, you know, God be with you. You can do whatever you want. That stuff. I prefer to always present our stuff as honest and as human, as like that. We make mistakes just like anybody else, and we have our share. So does everybody. I think maybe we're just a little more candid about it sometimes.
Yeah, but thanks for pointing out. Like for us, honestly, especially these days in DPU, we tend to keep up with, or try to keep up with a lot of feedbacks and data, even from the community run tool as well, right? So guys keep shouting and letting us know what is not working, and we haven't.
Thank you for bringing that up. It's not just the content creators and stuff. Issue Council.
Yep.
Oh my God, can you imagine this project without Issue Council?
Honestly, like often I see people thinking that the Issue Council is not and what I mean by people, I mean outside of the company, is not a useful tool. But honestly, for us, like. Having issues with ReproStep videos and having directly a ticket in Jira, then I can act upon immediately, asking directors, labeling, can we fix this for this release and so on and so forth. It's super helpful. So keep up the quality of the IC report, guys, because that's gonna help a lot. I'll pass a lot. Yeah.
We've got 15 minutes left. I want to get to some more of these questions from the community here. This question's worded a little bit, but it's basically saying capital ships in atmosphere, WTF? Like everybody's seen the terrible, everybody's seen that Polaris or that Idris. You're trying to do a line of mine, you're trying to do a Stormageddon, whatnot, and it's just capitals in atmosphere.
That's quite of a ship of Polaris, by the way.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
This was basically the role model for the Polaris.
Okay, so I know what you want to say. Okay, so the vertical thing, right? Where ships do this, like nobody wants that, right? CR doesn't want that. Like he had a talk with me last week.
Oh my God! Thank you, thank you.
Yes, sir. You're not gonna hate me.
That bugs me so bad when I see these ships like this, and it's an impossibility. Don't give me the thruster argument. Don't tell me that things hovering magically because of like we're in a future year. When these ships are like pointed down like this, it is like absolutely ridiculous, man. Thank you, man. Now I'm feeling a little bit better. I'm glad the second half much better than the first. Remember when I started to feel like before we hit halftime that our team was down by like 21 points? I feel like they're getting closer now. They might be down by like 14, maybe 10 or 7, 10. They need a touchdown, an extra point, and a field goal to tie it up here. You know what I mean? The first half was absolute fart. Right, Red. This is getting better. This is getting better, man. I give it to you guys for sticking with this. I mean, like, really, we got over 30 people up in here, and it's really the hardcore Star Citizen fans. You can tell, like, the hardcore ones versus the ones that kind of just, like, casually come in to peek in and see, you know, is DG saying something funny? Oh, or the ones that casually come in and they're like, oh, DG's upset. Oh, he's yelling. I don't like this version of DG.
Week, right?
These are hardcore fans right
but this
here.
is also something we probably will only fix with the new flight model. I don't want to say, oh, it's going to be fine in the future, but it is the plan for this, right?
Good.
So right now, when you're in atmosphere, we have something called thruster efficiency curves, and the efficiency of your thrusters goes down by about 50% in the highest case. In the future, that efficiency will be much, much lower. So what you can expect that if you have a ship, let's say, give me a ship with the VTOLs, I don't know, Cutlass, right? Yeah, let's say Cutlass, yeah. So if you have the Cutlass, right? You can expect that
for real,
Cutlass,
for real.
Cutlass is like a light transport, so we will not be as punishing probably. But let's say, does the Idris have VTOLs?
Yes.
Idris have VTOLs?
Yes, but they don't work in game. But
okay, cool.
They will do.
Okay, fine. So let's say the Idris is landed.
What's up, Calamity? How you doing, buddy?
You get a message on the heads-up display that tells you what your thrust to weight ratio against gravity is. And if that ratio is below 1, you will not be able to take off. And this is then just taking account the mass of the ship, how much it is loaded on it. So if you have your cargo full of lead cubes, let's say that, right? Then it is possible that you will not be able to take off. So now
it's possible, not a guarantee.
It's not a. It's.
You can overload.
You can overload, and then you will not be able to take off. I mean, you may try to boost, because boost gives you like a vertically, I think like something like 35% more thrust. You can put more power into your engine, so you get this natural resource network based buff in your engines. But
I mean, this is wonderful. This is exactly what I'm talking about for more realism. And this sounds to me like it's even going to encroach like industrial larger size ships as well. Imagine you have a Caterpillar, you've got it loaded to the gills, right? Now you need to put your power manager, you need to bump it up, you need to put more power into your engines in order to lift the amount of load that you have. That's cool. That's cool. I mean, look at how crazy diverse mining is, like how many things you have to look at when you're mining. Look at all the different mining heads, and look, people took the time to dive deep into mining. They know what mining heads are. They know about the mining gadgets, right? That's if you're in the mole or the prospector. And then if you're on the rock miner, although I already explained it's not worth the time, they need to bump up the rewards. But if you are in that, then there's even like different two little heads for the rock miner that I haven't even tried. But then they've got like the packs. You can load up the packs and take off the packs. You can customize it for people that are in this. Like they want the depth. They want that gameplay added to it. So like you got your larger ship, loaded to the gills. You got as much SCU as you can pack into the thing, and you got a super amount of load. Well, you're going to need to power up your engines a bit more, right? And you should feel it. You should feel it. I mean, if you need to afterburn a little bit, you need to push shift to actually lift that ship up out of the hangar, right? I think so much the better. And they should bump up the audio effects. They should have like the audio effects kind of, and they should have some shudder. You know what I'm saying? Bump up the power on the engines. I think that's cool.
you will have a hard time just hovering like this, right? And at the same time, because these are your strongest thrusters, but your
Drake should have
retro
parts fall off.
usually a lot weaker than the other thrusters. So if you do this,
Calamity.
you will eventually just sink down. That's at least the plan.
Good.
Right? So you can expect that larger ships will be harder to fly and to land in atmosphere. We will try to give players helpers so that new players don't just like crash land this thing, right? But still, like there's still physics, and like the reason why the ships can hover at the
Now this is the type of complexity that I want. When they talk about complexity, the complexity in the actual mechanics of the flight, great. Add the complexity to the actual architecture of flight mechanics. Yes. Make it a little bit more complex, and you're going to have a lot of PvEers that are crying because Master Modes isn't as easy all of a sudden, but ignore that shit. Make it real. Make them have to fly it. Like give them a Master Modes overall experience. Oh, shit. Thank you, Diva. Thank you, Diva. Yeah, like keep the overall. God, I got everybody calling me and shit. Sorry about that. Keep the complexity for the people that are flying PvP and want the combative experiences, and keep the sim. Give us the simulative, realistic flight sim kind of vibe. On the industrial sides, yes, make it easier flight, but maybe add a little difficulty to it when it comes to like load. Give it some realism when it comes to actual weight. Since that's kind of important with flight. Hold on, let me check what's going on here. Everybody's blowing up my phone.
At this moment is because they have so much thrust that they can. Because all they need to do is to be able to hover in 1G, or let's say on Earth, right? When that is not guaranteed anymore, then you automatically have like a more realistic and harder situation there.
And that's coming tomorrow?
That's not coming tomorrow. I'm not gonna Jared. No when question. No. But seriously, like we're really keen to put this over as fast as possible. But so the space flight model is done. The aerodynamic stuff is halfway done because the fly-by-wire is not completely done. And what we need on the control surfaces that's left is the ability of AI to use control surfaces. That's like a relatively complex project, but I'm confident that we can solve that in the next couple of weeks. And then there is the quantum experience. When all these things are done, and then it's the first time we can actually let players test this thing in the PU environment. But this is not for tomorrow, or also not for like...
Until then, Can we just make it so that if you're in a Polaris or an Idris and you do this in atmosphere, you just instantly go to Gleischer?
I can, but then you're not going to be able to slow down very fast anymore. Or like
no. I just teleport the pilot right to Gleischer. If they're doing this in atmosphere, just... that would be what I do, and that's why I'm not a designer. And they don't put me in charge of anything.
Star Citizen.
Rich, you mentioned turrets earlier. Are there any plans to make industrial ship turrets be a viable deterrent, or will they remain a mostly useless POS?
Slightly subjective question.
It's very subjective, isn't it?
It's possible I'm adding my own spin to some of these things because I have feelings of my own.
Yep, so the whole point of those turrets is, the ships can't defend themselves with guns, so we've got turrets that, we want the ships to be able to defend themselves with turrets. We are working on the kind of general turret experience and how kind of powerful the turrets are as well. And we made some changes, was it last release? Yeah.
In general, like with the engineering,
so we buffed them up.
We buffed the ammo, we buffed maybe some regenerates for specific ships as well. So.
Yeah. But there's this other thing, like the thing that's we're currently lacking is effective medium range weaponry. Right now, because a turret that fires projectile, just like it's just the
like normal gun projectile.
This is a gun projectile. The thing is like we don't want to twist like the projectile after we launched it, right? So what we need is like some medium range weaponry. We have a plan for this. Like we would like to try out flak at some point, but it's not ready for multiplayer yet. But it can range it can be effective beyond the range where normal gun turrets are effective. I mean, I guess the question comes mostly from I have this large ship and I'm getting shot at by fighters which keep their distance. But the other thing is like coming to more like Torsten's work. concerning like the armor system and so on. There's also the question of like if smaller ships will actually be a danger for larger ships, because we are going to have like penetration parameters on the bullets, and we're going to have armor and so on. So a lot of these weapons that people use at the moment to damage larger ships, they might not be able to damage them in the future. It's like if you have a pistol and shoot at a tank, the tank says, well, okay, right? So if the ships want to do actual damage on the ships, they probably need to get so close in the future that they can destroy precisely the subsystems. But that's like, this is a little bit outside of like...
then that, of course, provides more utility to some of these heavy fighters or stuff that are designed to take on the larger ships.
Yeah.
Stuff like that, like the Ares, which
exactly.
and stuff like that. I want to see if we can do at least 4 more. So I'm limiting you
to 1 second.
90 seconds.
I should not babble.
Answer, sir, because I want to hit more of these things before we go. He's got an airplane he's got to catch.
Right.
Weather is in 4.2 for or the next iteration of it. Weather affecting ship's ability to fly.
Cool.
Yes, it's in there.
It's in there.
You can try it.
Yeah. That happened to Erad. Erad can attest to it. It hasn't happened to me yet. But yeah, Erad said that his ship went down. He got hit in a storm, and pretty cool. Awesome.
Larger ship in general should be less affected by weather effects, and a smaller ship clearly more. And yeah, you can try the effects already that Yogi and Ethan have been trying to smash through and testing and trying already in 4.2. So
fly into clouds, have fun.
Yep, have fun in clouds. Yep, big fun.
And of course, that's this next iteration of it. It'll continue to evolve as more weather conditions.
Yes, especially also with when we're going to update the atmospheric system as well. Clearly, we're going to have to adapt everything.
Okay. Recent changes to missiles and torpedoes.
Yeah.
Are you happy with? How it's still in PTU right now? Hasn't gone to live yet.
Yes. So for the targeting system, we are quite happy. It hasn't been easy to kind of try to find a sweet spot for the targeting params of missiles specifically. Also with torpedoes, the safety improvements to avoid certain unwanted behavior, like them firing torpedoes too close to a couple of ships, are in place. And we are looking forward to players testing them and stress testing them as well. But in general, we are quite happy. Yeah.
What about the thing where they fire the missile or torpedo, but they keep moving forward?
Yes.
And the distance.
Yeah. So basically, how it's currently working, it's the safety distance is calculated between the torpedoes that you launch and your ship itself. So if your ship is moving and the torpedo is moving, and you're not 1.5 kilometers away from the torpedo won't detonate. But however, this is not the intended final direction that we want. We have already spoke with all these peeps and PAT and Team Johnny as well for some updates on the safety mechanics based mostly on the distance traveled of the torpedoes and also some safety
from the moment it was launched. Yeah, because that's the big change right now because of this.
So it's important to say that we wanted to try this stuff first because that was basically the parameter that we had in place actually since a lot of time in order to see how the gameplay dynamics are looking. And now that we know that this is kind of the direction that we want to dive into, we can further work.
So right now, if you follow your torpedo missile and you're too close, it'll just never arm, and that sucks. You want it to start that distance timer to start from the moment you launch it, and then if you choose to get too close to it when it explodes, that's on you, pilot. That's where we're going. Okay, good. Ground vehicles. Why do they suck?
Wow, it's very subjective again. So we have, obviously made a big kind of change to ground vehicles. So we changed the fundamental physics of the ground vehicles, but that still doesn't mean they're finished. They are still subject to the same kind of physics as the rest of the game, and we do know that the general collisions don't feel very good, and we do want to improve that. But also we want to give more purpose to the ground vehicles as well, and that just isn't the ground vehicle itself; it's the guns or it's the torpedoes on the ground vehicle. So it's about improving those systems as well, so players have more of a reason to choose them. Especially as we have more environments in the game that. They may limit where ships can go, they may limit where ground vehicles can go, and also you may want to use ground vehicles to defend a certain area. So if you've got a ballista, you can have ballistas and protect an area, but that isn't just making that ground vehicle physically good, it's the systems on it, it's the torpedoes and and how that those kind of system generate the gameplay we want.
That's why already we try to bespokely tune the ballista torpedoes and missiles to kind of fit more into the anti-air role, as well as the Centurion turret, by the way. Now the turret has gimbals as well, so it's more ranges, has more ammo, to try to enhance the
that's good.
Of the anti-air vehicles as well.
Anything to missiles and torps is an improvement as far as I'm concerned. They need tons of work there.
Or something on ground vehicles. Is it still just a press and you go to your top speed? Can we?
I think it's somewhere in some to-do list, but it's compared to other things, it's relatively low.
Being able to fine-tune that control and whatnot.
Yeah, but this is like in the. It is somewhere as a ticket. I think in my list even. I don't know. But it's.
Well, the ground game's going to be really important though, Betty. So like the thing is they need to make sure that these vehicles are viable, or they're not going to have sales. And then what are you going to do on the ground? I mean, like you got to have ground game when you're talking about going up against orgs that have bases. I mean, you know what I mean?
Like compared to other things, like really low priority. So I wouldn't wait for it.
Yeah, like I would imagine they're going to probably end up working on ground towards, the latter half.
For now.
All right, folks.
All right, there we go, guys.
That's our time. Thank you for hanging out.
Okay, that was awesome. I got to head out a little bit earlier. I'll be back later for the Dungeons & Dragons stream. Mom was at the stack here, and she is upstairs right now. And I got to just check on her to make sure she's okay. She got an infection in her arm. They had to give her some antibiotics. So thanks, everybody, for being here. I'm heading out. I will most likely be back in a little bit for the Dungeons & Dragons stream. And thank you for being with me. We'll take all the Star Citizen stuff that we've got sitting for the morning show. So if you're into this, then, and obviously you are because you're still here, we'll be sliding a lot of the stuff from tonight's show over to tomorrow morning's show. And it'll be mixed in with other content. So I hope I get to see you guys tomorrow. If you guys are into Dungeons & Dragons, we have a watch party. It's coming up here in about 15, 20 minutes. And I will be back on shortly. If not, I'll let everybody know in Discord. Thanks for showing up, everybody. Have a great night, and hope to see you very soon on the next stream. Peace out, all.